Moran, and I'm here with Jack, Barteck, and Riv. This is now episode 46. In this episode, we're going to talk about our predictions for Rookie of the Year, Most Improved Player, and MVP. Then we're going to go on and give our take on what the best city jersey in the NBA is and our thoughts on the opening day and Christmas Day lineup. Then we're going to finish off the show talking about the Westbrook and John Wall trade, Kevin Durant denying the Harden rumors, if Giannis should stay in Milwaukee, and who the Celtics should target with their $28.5 million trade exception. So if you're watching the live stream right now, you can probably see that we have a cake by us in the middle, in the center. You can't really see it because of Riv's laptop. But we have the cake because we're celebrating having 1,000 subscribers, and we want to celebrate it with you guys as well. You guys helped us get to this point, so it's only right that you guys celebrate this moment with us together.
Yeah, thank you guys for supporting. And without you guys, obviously, we wouldn't have any subscribers. So we appreciate you, and thank you for hopping on the live today.
Start the show, man.
I feel like I haven't seen Riv in years.
Word, right?
It's really only been a week, but I feel like I have not seen Riv in like a year.
The incognito, man. No, you finally gave me cold water. Thank you.
I always give you cold water.
No, it's always warm.
That's because you don't drink it in time enough. Then it gets warm.
You think so?
I think so.
All right.
So, okay, we're going to start off with our first topic of the show. Rookie of the Year predictions. This draft, we know that there's three players that stand out the most: Anthony Edwards, James Wiseman, LaMelo. I'm guessing one of your answers will be one of those guys, but you guys may surprise me. But who do you think will be the Rookie of the Year this season?
I'll start. I still want to give an honorable mention shout out to Obi Toppin. I considered him because he's in a similar situation to the guy I'm going to say, but on a much lesser extent. If the Knicks want to be a playoff team this year, and we've discussed it, you can laugh all you want, but the Knicks are on that outside the bubble fringe, especially with it being a 10-team, the double play-in. I can definitely see the Knicks at least getting that 10 seed and being in one of the play-in games. The only way that happens, though, is if RJ, Obi, or both of them take a big step this year. Obviously, it's his first year, but take a big step and contribute a lot. So I wanted to give an honorable mention shout-out to him. But my pick is James Wiseman. And the reason is I think we've all spoken about how Steph Curry coming back makes the Warriors a playoff team if he stays healthy. And losing Clay means that somebody's going to have to step up for that team. And they're not like the Knicks where they have a long shot at making the playoffs. I think the expectation for them is to at least be a playoff team. So I think he's going to have to come in and play a big role for this team. And I think he fits the system well. We talked about it when he was drafted. Him and Steph Curry in that pick and pop is going to be deadly. We know he can shoot the ball, and he's going to be that presence down low that the Warriors have been looking for since Andrew Bogut, really. And even Andrew Bogut didn't fit their gameplay. And I think James Wiseman is a perfect fit for what Steve Kerr and the Warriors want to do. So I think he's just the perfect puzzle piece to slot in there. And the circumstances make it so that he's going to have to contribute a lot if they want to reach their goals. So I'm going to say James Wiseman.
Quick question. Can I ask, who would you pick outside of the top three guys?
Outside of the top three, I would say Obi Toppin.
Obi Toppin. Okay.
Yeah, I think I'd go Obi too.
You should go next.
I mean, I think it's James Wiseman. A little bit of a different reason than you. I don't think he's going to be asked to step up and take that role. But I think that when you play with Curry and the amount of gravity that he's going to have when people are guarding him on defense, I think James Wiseman is going to get about 8 to 10 garbage buckets a game. And what I mean by that is he's going to be very open. He's going to have lobs. It's going to be fast break. I mean, when you have playmakers like Draymond and Curry on the team, it makes it so much easier for you as a player. When I look at a guy like Anthony Edwards, you got to share the scoring load with D'Angelo Russell. You got to share the scoring load with Karl Anthony Towns. Rubio's capable of giving everybody the ball, but of course, D'Lo and Karl Towns are going to demand most of the touches. When you look at LaMelo, the same thing. They have a lot of guards. Gordon Hayward is there. They're going to need touches. So maybe LaMelo will get like more assists, of course, but I think I can see Wiseman averaging like 16 and 10. Last year, Draymond led their team in rebounds with 6 a game. and they were 24th in rebounding. So you bring in a guy that's 7'1", 250, he's going to take it to another level. He'll probably average 10 rebounds a game, in my opinion.
And then who would be your outside of the top three?
I think it's Obi Toppin. When you go look, I don't think the Knicks have a chance to make the playoffs, and I'm a Knicks fan. They do not have a chance to make the playoffs, and they better not be thinking about it. They better be thinking about just being competitive and having a good shot to get Cade Cunningham.
Well,
that's what
that
they
would
have
be
to
the
think
best
about.
case
That means you have
scenario.
to get the number one pick in the draft.
I mean, in this new draft lottery, you don't have to be the worst team to get the number one pick. So I think that the Knicks won't be competitive, and Obi, even though I think he has the potential to score a lot, there's no point guard on the Knicks that can set him up. Like on Golden State, a Curry can set up Wiseman, or Minnesota, Rubio can set up Edwards. It's just two different situations.
Damn, I mean, I was also going to pick James Wiseman. I was going to steal a little bit from both of you guys. I think the Bogut comparison was pretty good because Wiseman does a lot of what Bogut does defensively, but he's more athletic. And like you said, he's going to get a lot of pick and rolls, pick and pops, easy buckets off transition. He's going to get a lot of rebound. I feel like he's going to fit into that, not DeAndre Jordan impact, but he's going to kind of be like a DeAndre Jordan, get a lot of just dunks and wide open layups. So I also would pick James Wiseman. But I think my second guy, if he starts, I think Isaac Okoro will probably win Rookie of the Year too.
What?
Yeah, I think that would be the guy I would pick just because of the simple fact that the Cavs have no wing. So I think he's going to start from day one. I think he's going to get a lot of touches day one. And I feel like in that system, he's going to be able to show his athleticism. He's a defensive presence. Day one coming in.
He'll be their best defender coming in.
Early. He's already the best defender now.
Maybe impact rookie, maybe. But Rookie of the Year, you have to average more than 10 points. I
think he'll put up about a smooth 13.
I mean, I'm not surprised you picked Isaac Okoro. You picked Cam Reddish last year. So you aren't very close when it comes to these Rookie of the Year picks.
Hey, he finished like 7 though, so don't do that to me.
The only problem with him scoring is that backcourt is ridiculous scoring the ball. I mean, all they do is score the ball. They don't do anything else. They don't play make. They don't play defense. They don't rebound. So the only reason they stay on the court is because they score the ball.
If it outside of Obi, Wiseman, LaMelo, and Edwards, I think I wouldn't go Isaac Okoro.
I wouldn't have picked Obi Toppin.
I'm definitely not going Patrick Williams. Maybe Killian Hayes can be a sleeper. People are sleeping on Killian Hayes.
I would have never picked Patrick Williams, and I'm a Bulls fan. He's not getting picked. Killian Hayes, I would pick. I don't know if they're going to start D Rose or not, or if he's still going to be on the roster. So I don't know how that's going to work, but that would have been a good pick. Killian Hayes, yeah, that would have been I feel like Tyrese Halliburton, if he starts too, because I know they're putting Buddy Hield on the bench again. So if he starts too, that could be another guy. I feel like this rookie class is kind of wide in terms of Rookie of the Year. Like anybody can win it.
Yeah, and who knows what ends up happening with Buddy Hield, because the rumors have been floating since midseason last year about him staying with the Kings or not, and all signs this offseason has pointed towards no, but now he's still on the roster, and we're about a week away from camps opening up. So, but like Riv said, I think that this is a wide open rookie class, and I think that you can see guys that got picked really late becoming the best players in this class. I just think that it was a solid draft class, and I think top to bottom there's a lot of talent. So I think there's a good possibility we could be surprised this year.
European guy in Washington could win it too.
Denny Avdija.
If he starts day one, he can win it too.
I mean, they're going to score a lot. We're going to get into Washington and, what they did later on in the episode. But now we're going to go on to the next award, Most Improved Player. Who do you think is going to win the Most Improved Player this upcoming year? I'll start with you, Riv.
You want me to start? I wanted to start on this because I feel pretty strongly about this one. Like, I don't have a question about this. I think it's going to be Lauri Markkanen.
Oh no, I was telling you because you're wired.
Yeah, I keep pulling on the cable because I'm trying to look towards you.
No, yeah, the wire's by the
Oh my god, it's by the.
So I don't want the mic to lower it.
So I was looking at you because you said Lauri.
So you think Lauri Markkanen is going to win Most Improved Player?
I feel very confident he's going to win Most Improved Player. If you hear him speak, and you hear a lot of people inside the Bulls organization speak, the reason he had such a down year last year was because of Jim Boylan. Jim Boylan was the worst coach in the NBA, far and away. He wasn't an NBA coach. He was having them run double sessions like it was high school basketball. It's just not realistic. And he also did not at all play to Lauri Markkanen's strengths. Last season, he had a bad year. He had 15-6 on a career low, 42% shooting, 34% from three, which he's a good three-point shooter. That should not happen. His season high in usage rate, attempts, shots in the paint, points, and rebounds all came on opening night. And from there, everything went downhill. Last season, Jim Boylan forced Lauri out of his strengths in the game. In 2018-19, he shot 360 shots in the paint. That went down last year to 253. In 2018-19, he shot 104 mid-range shots. Last year, that number went down to 21. In 2018-19, he shot 60 fadeaways, which, when he was making those shots in 2018-19, a lot of people, not saying he's going to reach that, were comparing him to Dirk with that one-legged fadeaway shot. That number went down to 16 last year. Again, I'm not saying he's going to reach that, but that's what it looked like. So with Billy Donovan coming in, and you saw I think he did a pretty solid job with that Thunder team for the years that he was there. I think he's going to come in, reinvent this offense, and realize that Lauri Markkanen is a huge part of that offense, and he should be used as such. And the way they used him last year in a 5-out system, forcing him to shoot 3 after 3 after 3, it made no sense. He can stretch the floor, but that's not his greatest skill. And I think that getting him in a system that will actually use him correctly, and also it'll not only help him on the offensive end, but it'll help him get into the game to a point where he can make a bigger impact defensively. I just think that all around the Bulls as an organization are going to get better this year. And I think that Lauri Markkanen is going to be the biggest beneficiary.
I would agree with you. We still don't have a point guard yet. Point guard
That's
that
fair.
can, really. We have Kobe White playing the one. He's not going to pass the ball.
He's a shooting guard.
Yeah, but I could have went a couple places. I could have went to my fan favorite. Could have said Cam Reddish is going to be, most improved. I could have went to DeJounte Murray, another one of my fan favorites. I'm going to go with the pick that everybody should be picking. I think he's probably going to be a heavy favorite. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think he's first of all, Chris Paul is gone. Danilo Gallinari is gone. He has the keys to the offense. I think he's going to put up about 24, 25 points again. I think you're going to see a lot of improvement in his game this year. I think should be the clear runner-up for most improved players. Going to see last year you saw Chris Paul, when Chris Paul got initiated into that game, you saw a lot of improvements in his game. You saw leadership quality. You saw games where he took over and Chris Paul helped him with that. So now Chris Paul gone. He has all the tools necessary to be great. I feel like he's just going to be that guy that shows improvement in his game.
Shai isn't a bad pick. Is he going to win it? No. It's going to be one of these two guys. Also, Lauri wasn't a bad pick, but when you average 14 points per game, for you to win the award, you have to average 8 more points than you already did.
I think he can easily be a 20-point per game scorer this year.
I see him jumping to 18 on some good efficiency.
I think everything has to improve.
And the thing with him is I think it will be very clear if he improves this year.
So
because last year, as much as his numbers might not reflect it, he was bad.
What are you talking about?
Lauri Markkanen.
Oh yeah, he was bad.
You can.
These are the two players that are gonna. The award is going to one of these two players, and ironically, they're on the same team. It's Jamal Murray or Michael Porter Jr. That's who the award is going to go to. Jamal Murray, back-to-back years, he's averaged 18 points per game. In the playoffs 2 years ago, he averaged 21. Then he jumped to 26. Can Jamal Murray take it to an all-star level?
You think he's going to average 26 points
a game? I'm not
not
saying that, but can Jamal take it? Can he average 24, 25 a game? Jeremy Grant left, so they don't have him no more. Can he average 25? Can he ascend to an all-star? I think Jamal Murray can. And I think after these great playoff performances, people are looking at Jamal Murray to now step up and fill in that role. And then when we talk about Michael Porter Jr., this guy, he averaged 9 points per game last year. He can easily average 18 a night. He can double his scoring average. It benefits him more that Jeremy Grant left, because now Michael Porter Jr. is probably going to be starting. He might average 18 and 10, have a double-double. If he's playing alongside Jokic, he'll get easy looks. He shot 50 and 40, 50% from the field, 40% from the three last season. So if he gets more looks, more shots, he can be a 20-point per game scorer. I say more around 18. And I think Jamal Murray or Michael Porter Jr. are going to win the award this year. And they're both on the same team.
Those are actually.
And it's pretty crazy because you usually don't see that from two players on the same team. Jamal Murray, I think he's always been good, but we expect him to now reach new heights because of what he did in the playoffs.
He looked like a top 5 point guard at least in the bubble. So, you expect to see if he can play next season like he did, at least somewhat like he did in the bubble, he should win the award. And the thing about Michael Porter Jr. is, again, if he plays like he did in the bubble, he should get the award. My only question mark for them two would be there's a lot of mouths to feed in Denver. So are they going to take that step up?
Yeah. Now, those aren't bad picks, Michael Porter Jr. He's probably going to start this year with Torrey Craig gone and Jeremy Grant gone, so he's probably going to start. And Jamal Murray, we expect him to take that leap.
To be an all-star.
Yeah, we expect him this year. Like, this is the year. All right, Jamal, you did that in the bubble. Let's see now. Let's see you make that all-star leap. So if he does make that all-star leap, then yeah, we can definitely see him win it. Lauri,
he's going to have the eyes on him.
Yeah, we expect Lauri. I could say from a Bulls perspective, we expect Lauri. We've been expecting Lauri to make that all-star leap, and now we expect it. We have Billy Donovan there. We expect him to make that all-star leap too. So if he does it too, those would be definitely the top two guys. But clearly, I just said the best player that we just talked about. So I
Shai's not better than Jamal Murray. He's not. You telling me Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is better than Jamal Murray? He's not better than Jamal Murray.
I'm not.
He said he's the best player.
I'm not gonna get back and forth into that.
People that are watching right now, who's better, Jamal Murray or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? We'll let them.
I would also lean towards Jamal Murray.
You would lean to? I hate you guys.
I can see that changing next year.
Fans, please tell it live, man. Come on, man. Like
everybody's saying Jamal Murray.
Who said Jamal Murray?
One person said Jamal Murray. Oh, here we go.
Two said Jamal and one said Sha.
So
it's 2-2 right now. It's 2-2 right now.
People are agreeing with Jamal. when we put this segment out there, you guys comment who's gonna win most improved player, or who's a better player, Jamal Murray or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
That's ridiculous. You just gonna say it? Oh man,
come on, man, Shai. He's also good, but he's not Jamal Murray.
That is a pick a sidekick. It's our celebration of 1,000 subscribers, and we wanted to share it with you. Unfortunately, we can't actually share the cake with you physically. That would be awesome.
Sharing this cake.
Jamal Murray easily. Jamal Murray, Jamal Baumhout, Jamal Murray. I'm taking Jamal Murray.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
All right, so yeah, this is a cake that for our 1,000 subscribers, after we do the show, we're probably gonna cut it, and we're gonna, taking calls from you guys as well while we're eating it, I guess, to share the moment with you guys. But now we're gonna get back into the show. Wish we could read your comments throughout it. But we're gonna get on to the next segment. So, MVP prediction. We talked about the Rookie of the Year and Most Improved Player. So now, who do you think is going to be the MVP? Luka Doncic right now is the betting favorite to win MVP. Do you agree with that, or do you have a dark horse pick that's not him?
I think it's easy to say, yeah, he's probably gonna win it.
I feel like this is I hated this question when we were researching it because it's like there's 4 answers. I feel like there's nobody
3.
outside of like 4 answers.
You got 4?
Yeah.
How many
and again, 2 of them are on the same
2.
team.
You have 2?
I would say it's going to either.
Don't you dare say Kyrie.
I would say it's either going to be
Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
No, I think it's gonna be Luka,
okay,
Giannis, LeBron, or AD. I think it's going to be one of those 4 guys.
None of my second, because my first pick is Doncic. I think he's the favorite for me. My second pick is neither of those guys.
Yeah, my second pick is neither of those
I know
guys.
who you're going to say.
I'll start by saying I'm also going with Luka Doncic. I just think that they didn't improve that much.
Pick,
and people are expecting a lot out of them. Right? And we saw from Luka last year in the playoffs, he's no joke. This was no fluke season. He's not any one-year wonder. Like, he is legit. And after Porzingis went down in the playoffs last year, he was still carrying that Mavericks team against a much better Clippers team. So I just see him taking another step again. And I personally think that he is the next LeBron James. I think he's the next number 1 guy in the league, personally, for me.
I don't think that's a bad take.
No, I think that's a bad take.
No, I don't. Like, being the next LeBron in terms of, I think Luka's going to be the face of the NBA.
Oh, you mean as in terms of the face?
I mean, in terms of their gameplay, I don't think so.
I thought you meant like, okay.
No.
LeBron's stronger.
I took it as in like, I thought you meant like dominant like LeBron.
No. I meant like every year you looked at the NBA.
I don't think he can be because LeBron was dominant offensively and defensively. I don't think Luka will ever be.
He's definitely got to catch up
Yeah,
defense.
I don't think he will ever reach.
I don't think
LeBron.
Luka's as bad as a defender as people like to make him out to be, though.
You say that, but let's
I
be
don't
realistic.
think so.
No, I'm not saying he's bad, but I don't think he'll ever reach LeBron-like dominance on defense. That's why.
What year did LeBron win his first MVP?
2008.
It might have been 2007. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But
Who's your
pretty
good start? If he
You
won
go
this?
first. I want to hear yours first.
I mean, my pick is Luka Doncic, and I'll say it because you're going into year 3 now. You know, he came off a great season, 29 points per game. I'm pretty sure he'd be damn near almost average a triple-double. Then in the playoffs, you get better. The one knock on Luka has been his three-point shooting. In the regular season, I believe he shot 31% or between 31 and 32%.
Takes a lot of step backs.
Then in the playoffs, you take that up, and now you average 36% from the three. I think Luka has a nice form. I think he can be a really good to great shooter. And maybe that's just my bias when I see European players that they can just all shoot. But I think that he can be like a 36 or 38% three-point shooter. Yeah. And now that the Mavs traded for Josh Richardson, who's a pretty good defender, and he's one of the most underrated ISO scorers in the game. I mean, he averaged 1.12 points per possession. That was 6th best in the league on ISOs. So you have somebody to take the pressure off you offensively. You don't have to create for Josh Richardson, and he's a good defender. They also brought in James Johnson. It's kind of weird. It was kind of weird how the Mavs were last year. Like, they were better on the road than at home. And for a young team like that and a young player to be better on the road is kind of weird. But they were. They were only 4 games behind the 3rd seed. If Luka can average, say, 30 and basically near the numbers that he averaged last year, and they can capture a 3rd seed, I think he'll be the MVP. People are tired of Giannis winning it. People are tired of LeBron winning it. AD won't win it because he's teammates with LeBron. So
that's why I wouldn't pick him.
It's kind of, and KD won't win it because of Kyrie. Luka's the only player that has the best shot for it, I think. And Kristaps, who knows how his health is going to be.
Yeah, and as much as
his ACL.
He retore his ACL.
Didn't he tear in the playoff?
I don't think he retore it.
I don't think it was. I think it was. He definitely didn't tear his ACL.
As much as Porzingis is a really nice second option for Luka, he still has not returned the same since that injury in New York. So he's not going to be a LeBron or Kyrie level where, you know, he's going to take away shine from Luka. That's Luka's team, and there's no mistaking it.
Yeah, it's Luka's team, but I also feel like everybody that once won the MVP, people don't want to vote for them anymore. People love Luka, and if he were to win the MVP, he'd be the youngest to ever win it as well. So who's your pick?
He's out to January.
Yeah, so Doncic is going to have to carry for about a month or so.
And even when he comes back, you know, it's going to take a little bit for Porzingis to get reacclimated. So
I think everybody's I was going to pick Luka for number 1. He's the heavy favorite, yeah. My number 2 pick, I was going to go Kevin Durant. I think Kevin Durant is going to come back and he's going to have there's going to be a fire under him. People are talking about, I know I've seen on a lot of sports shows, people are talking about LeBron and KD. LeBron is not even close, and I know KD's at home probably watching that. Okay, chip on his shoulder. So I think KD's definitely going to be in that talk for the MVP. And then I think, of course, James Harden. You always got to throw James Harden up there because he's going to carry. He's going to always be what does he finish like second, like 4 or 5 times already? He's always going to be in that top 4, top 5 MVP race. So those would be you thought I was going to pick Curry. That's why.
That was my second pick.
Nah, I feel like I would pick Curry, but I feel like they're going to just be too low in the seeding because I know seeding matters for MVPs.
I think people are really sleeping on the Warriors this year.
In order for them to make the playoffs, I think he's going to have an
MVP,
close to an MVP season. Maybe not to make the playoffs, but to really make some noise and be considered competitors going into the playoffs.
I can see a scenario where Luka finishes as a higher seed, but Curry has better numbers, and the MVP is going to go to Luka.
You think they do?
I can see that
will happen.
No, I do what they did to Harden in the year that Curry won it in 2015 when Harden was supposed to win the MVP. That's what I think they might do.
I don't know what year you're
Curry was a higher seed. It wasn't the 73 win team. It was a year. It was a
Curry
year
deserved everything he won. So I don't know what you're telling me here.
It was Harden that year. It was
It's
Harden
always
that year.
supposed to be Harden every year.
I mean, you just talked about him being one of your favorites.
Yeah, but because he's always in it, but that doesn't mean he deserved to win it that
Nah,
year.
he did that year.
So who's your dark horse is Curry?
My dark horse is Curry, yeah, because I feel like people are sleeping on him.
I don't even think I gave a dark
Would your
horse.
dark horse be Dame Lillard? Since you have Portland coming as a third seed,
I mean, that's a good pick
question.
too. That's a good
Dame
pick
could
too.
be up there. Another
I think Dame was on he had a monster year last year.
Crazy
He just
dark
weren't good.
horse
Yeah,
that I could see, and I might get some
you're gonna
flack
say
for
Devin
this.
Booker.
Jason Tatum.
Oh,
Call me crazy, but eliminating Gordon Hayward out of that offense, that's one less mouth to feed. And you have to imagine he's going to take another step up. I know you guys laugh when I said, but it's one less guy in the rotation, one less scorer, and he's going to have to take another jump if they want to be in that Eastern Conference conversation because everybody else got better. I think the Sixers got better.
I don't really think Tatum needs to do that because they got a bench now. Jeff Teague, I think he's probably one of the best backup
I
point
just want
guards
to
in the
stop
NBA.
for a minute. Odante just said Curry didn't deserve any MVP. Just had to throw that out there.
Yeah.
That was just dumb. But yeah.
So yeah, I'm guess I have Luka. You have
My dark horse would be KD.
okay. You have KD. And
I'll
then
go
you have
Dame. I'll go
Luka.
Dame.
So you're gonna rock with Dame? Okay.
I mean, even though Luka's a favorite,
I think Luka's are all
I
our
think
favorites.
deservedly
Yeah.
so. He should be the favorite.
Yeah, and
for
I
this
still
year.
think he's going
So who's
to
your
win
dark
it.
horse?
Curry.
So Curry,
Curry's my dark
KD.
horse.
If I had to bet money on it, which I don't
would
bet,
you
if I
shouldn't
had
bet
to
on
bet
Luka.
money on it,
You
it
make
would
no
be
money.
Luka.
Nah, can't. It wouldn't make no money if you bet on Luka.
So
Heavy
I
favorite.
don't bet.
If I had to bet the dark horse, I would bet Kevin Durant. If he's healthy, I would take Kevin Durant.
Okay, now we're gonna go on to the next segment. What playoff teams that made the playoffs last year are most likely to miss the playoffs this year? I'll go first, and I'll start in the. I'll go with the easy pick in the
You
Western
going to West and
Conference.
East?
I guess I'll do the West and
Okay.
East. OKC's not making it this year.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty obvious,
Yeah.
right? OKC, they lost Chris Paul, they lost Steven Adams and Danilo Gallinari. They're not going to make it. In the East, the Magic, because I don't think they made any moves to really get better. They won 33 games and lost 40 last season. Do I think Atlanta can win more than that this year? I do. And even though this team has a good roster, I wouldn't rule out Indiana missing the playoffs because people like to talk. People talked about the Westbrook trade and how it wasn't a very good trade, but the Wizards are going to be in playoff contention. I don't think there's a player that gets disrespected more than Russell Westbrook, a MVP, a guy who carries teams. He can carry the Wizards with Bradley Beal. They'll be one of the best offensive teams, but probably the worst in NBA history as well. One of the worst defensive teams in NBA history because they can't stop anybody. But when you look at the Wizards team, Davis Bertans can shoot. Thomas Bryant can shoot. Bradley Beal can shoot. Rui is more of a mid-range shooter, but yeah, he can slash. And Troy Brown Jr. can shoot somewhat. I think you surrounded Westbrook with shooters, and if you do that, he's going to be just as efficient as he was in Houston. So I either have Indiana, Orlando, or
the Wizards jumping in.
And Atlanta. And OKC, I have missing the playoffs, of course.
You want me to go?
Yeah.
All right. I'll start in the East because I agree with you. I don't see anybody outside of those two teams having any shot to miss the playoffs. I think there are 6 teams in the Eastern Conference that are locked into the playoffs.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't see any situation, barring any injuries, where the Bucks, Raptors, Celtics, Heat, Sixers, Nets don't make the playoffs. They're locked in. So I could see the Pacers or the Magic or both missing the playoffs, especially with the way the Hawks and the Wizards, I guess, pseudo improved. You know, you're getting a more sure thing with Russell Westbrook than John Wall coming back off an injury. So there's going to be a lot of competition in the Eastern Conference right at the bottom, outside of those top 6 teams. And with the extra 2 seeds in that play-in tournament, I think it'll make for a very interesting last 2 weeks of the season or so. In the West, obviously, the answer is the Thunder, but I didn't want to be boring, so I wanted to throw another team out there in the West that this is going to sound a little crazy. I'm going to say the Utah Jazz, and I know a lot of people might not like that, but here's the reason why.
Wow, that's criminal.
You look at last season, and I understand they went in the bubble and they played well, but you look at the end of last season or the shutdown of the regular season, how bad things were there for the Jazz for a little bit with the team chemistry. Who knows if that black cloud is gone from above their heads. And I didn't see them improve at all this offseason. Like, they're bringing back the same team for the most part, and everybody else in the West improved. When you look at it, like every other team improved and teams outside of the playoffs improved. The Phoenix Suns were not a playoff team last year. The Pelicans were not a playoff team last year. Even the Timberwolves, maybe if they make a leap. The Grizzlies have a lot of good young talent. The Spurs weren't a playoff team. The Kings have a lot of good young talent. So there's a lot of teams on the outside. Look, the Warriors, who I totally just forgot about. All of those teams weren't playoff teams last year. So
now that I think about it, wow.
But like, while I do like agree with some of your points, I think outside of Golden State, Donovan Mitchell would go on any of those teams and be the best player. So I think if you're it gives Utah a little bit of edge he's the best player.
And not to mention, you talk about the end of the season, they didn't have their second leading scorer, Bogdanovich, in the playoffs when they blew the 3-1 lead in the bubble and a little bit in the season. So he's coming back too. And that was their 20-point scorer outside of Donovan Mitchell.
It's just, I'll say the same thing I said in the East.
The West is just loaded.
Outside of the Thunder, like all the Western Conference teams, I feel like are essentially locks. Like the Lakers are going to make it again. The Clippers are going to make it again. The Nuggets, the Rockets, if they keep this team together, are going to make it again. And then you have the Jazz, Mavericks, Blazers coming back as playoff teams. The Thunder, we're saying, are out. So, who's going to miss the playoffs out of the group? We're saying the Warriors are going to make it, and they could take the Thunder spot. But then there's like 2 or 3 legit playoff teams looking at the Suns. Everybody's talking about the Suns after the Chris Paul move. Where do they slide into the playoffs?
I'd probably
put them in a play-in.
I'd probably bet more on the Warriors taking that last spot and the Suns missing the playoffs. Because if Chris Paul gets hurt, which he isn't not prone to do throughout his career, I mean, that's all the playoff chances for Phoenix are gone. It was kind of a rarity that he stayed healthy all of last year. He was not expected to do that because the year before he was injured with Houston. He only played like 56 games. So if he plays that much in Phoenix, they don't even have a backup point guard. Rubio's gone. So it's going to be really tough for them to make it if he gets hurt.
I feel better about the Jazz than I do about teams looking on the outside in, but I would not feel confident about saying the Jazz are a playoff lock. Just because the Western Conference looks so good.
I get that. I also think defense is 9 times out of 10 is going to get you out of good spots, and Utah's still going to come in a top 3 defensive team in the league. But the obvious pick in the West is OKC, and I want to say, since I can't take a team out, I want to say a team that people think are going to make the playoffs. I don't think they are. I don't think Phoenix is. I think with the Chris Paul addition, I still don't think Phoenix is going to get over that hump. I still think they're going to be one of those teams outside looking in, probably be a 9th, 10th seed, just off the simple fact that, yes, Chris Paul is there, Devin Booker is there, but you lost Kelly Oubre. That bench still looks a little iffy. We still have to see how Michael Bridges is going to come in play, how Cameron Johnson is going to come in. So I'm still a little iffy about them. They're still a young team, but Chris Paul was definitely did like a move for them. And then in the East, the Magic. I don't think the Wizards are going to get in, but I wouldn't be like shocked if they don't, because I feel like Bradley Beal now with a point guard who Westbrook can still be a good playmaker. He can still go to the basket. Like Joel said, his shooters out there. So he has just all the space in the world. Bradley Beal can be a spot-up shooter if need be and take the load off Westbrook. And Westbrook can take the load off Bradley Beal. So I think they're still a good team. And they got a rookie who can play good. He's European. So, he's going to have that knowledge out there. But I still think, Atlanta's going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to take Orlando's spot. They're going to be one of those teams to watch. And, my dark horse team, if we're healthy, is my Bulls. I think we're good enough where we can make a run and, get into that playoffs, man. So
Laurie Markkinen, most
improved. So you think that Orlando misses it?
Oh, yeah. Orlando's done.
OKC, of course.
Because I think with Jonathan.
So you don't think outside of, sorry to cut you off, but you don't think a team outside of OKC in the West are going to miss the playoffs?
If I had to pick one, it would probably.
Say it.
What you think?
It's the Jazz.
I don't think it would be the Jazz.
Who else is missing the playoffs from the West? It's not the Mavericks. We just said Luka's going to be the lead.
It's really tough because Luka can't. I don't want to
say who's going to be the Blazers.
I don't want to say Luka. I don't want to say Luka's a great special talent, but Porzingis being out, they could slide out and miss some. Lose some games.
They're locked too.
And they don't. I don't. It's with everybody. I don't.
I'll say this. I am very glad that if there was any year this year, the NBA is doing that play-in format, because
for the West.
There's 10 teams, I think, in both conferences that are playoff worthy.
Yep.
Which is something that you can't say for years past. And one other point about the Suns, bigger than even probably the Chris Paul move, they were missing DeAndre Ayton for the first 20 games of the year last year. If that didn't happen, they would have been a playoff team. Without the bubble, without going 7-0 in the bubble, they would have been a playoff team. So it's going to be very interesting.
I think all the top teams, I think Lakers are going to get in. I think the Clippers are going to get in. I think Denver, even though they lost a lot of their wing defenders, they're still going to get in just alone off Michael Porter Jr. If we see the Jamal Murray, like Joel said, if we see the Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr. jump, I think they'll get in. Utah, I think they're going to get in solely because of defense, and Donovan Mitchell has showed he can carry a team. I think Dallas is going to get in probably.
The best hope in the West is the Rockets blow it up.
Yeah,
that would be the team.
That
because if James Harden is still there, they're going to get in. There's no deny they're going to get in.
Do you feel more confident in the Rockets blowing it up and missing the playoffs, or saying the Jazz won't be a playoff team?
The Rockets blowing it up and missing the playoffs.
Wow.
I'm really confident.
Yeah, I think the Jazz are going to be a playoff team.
I'm not as high as on the Warriors as Joel is, though. That could be a team that doesn't get in just off the simple fact that they don't have a bench and they're going to rely a lot on their starters and the 32-year-old Steph Curry. So, and he hasn't carried a team in years. So we're going to, on the offensive end, so we're going to have to see how much he can do. But I would bet on Houston blowing it up and then not making it before Utah. I think Utah defensively, they're going to get in. They're the top 3 defensive team in the league.
I'm going to talk about the Jazz later, too. So
before we move on to our next segment, I want to give a shout out to Sean for donating in the chat. We appreciate you and thank you for complimenting the show. As you guys can see right now, we have this cake in front of us to celebrate our 1K subs. It was supposed to get made last week, and now we're about to hit 2K, probably like in a week or two. But yeah, this cake is awesome. Shout out to Gina the baker in New Jersey. She made it. But yeah, we're going to celebrate this with you guys later on. You guys can call into the show.
Smells good.
We'll talk. It's a chocolate cake with cookies and cream. So yeah, this next topic we're going to do is a fun topic. It's a laid back topic. So I guess
always laid back, man.
Everybody knows about the new city jerseys that came out in the NBA. I think all of them have already been released. So in this topic, we're going to give our best city jersey. And I'll start off the topic. I'm going to show the jersey on the big screen TV. So I think without a doubt, the best city jersey are the Charlotte Hornets. The Charlotte Hornets to me had the best city jersey. You look at the teal, Buzz City, the font, the pinstripes. I really think that this jersey is fire. And I'm probably going to get a LaMelo Ball Charlotte Hornets city jersey.
Goodness.
Yeah, I think you guys see in about a month, I have a LaMelo Ball jersey on, and this is going to be the jersey I'm going to have on. I think these city jerseys are the best. And I wasn't too high on the other city jerseys. Like there's about like maybe 5 to 7 that I like. I think this year was pretty weak, but
and shout out to LeVar Ball getting 3 sons into the NBA, man. That's
good for him.
Him and the Holiday Father.
Shout out to him. Into existence.
Yeah.
I love the color of those. And another thing the Hornets have going for them, every team in the league is going to have to wear the Jordan logo on their chest when they wear their city uniforms.
I hope they do what they do when they had the purple jerseys. They fixed the arena too to match the jerseys. They did that. But the Hornets,
they did do an arena.
That's tough because when they do that, like that's when it's like really fire. Like
so, Jack, what's your pick?
So for me, I went back and forth with a couple teams, but as you can see, I went with the Suns. I want to give a little honorable mention shout out to your Bulls. I love the Bulls uniforms too, but I ended up going with the Suns just because I love the colors. Like you look at it, I love that sunset vibe, and I think it just fits the Suns really well. I like the little silhouette of the mountains, and I haven't liked a lot of the Suns designs in the past. I think they hit it out of the park on this one. It reminds me of the Jazz uniforms they've been wearing the last couple of years, like the Red Rock, where they go grading down
I know
through the
what
dark.
you're talking about.
And whenever I would see them, I'd be like, I love those jerseys, but I feel like I'm watching the Suns. And so now for them to take something like that, I think was really cool. Kelly Oubre modeling it until they traded him. It's a really good look.
You give me a vibe that you're from Silicon Valley. You just give me that energy that you're.
So I know your jersey is this next one that I'm about to put up. Ja Morant, this Memphis Grizzlies city jersey. I think this is pretty fire too. Not gonna lie.
You know, it's crazy because I was picking when you sent me the thing. I was picking between the Hornets, them, and of course my Bulls. Because I'm just a Bulls fan. But Just look at the gold, man. The gold is fire. Then you got the little blue coming down the side, and then of course you have the best point guard in the league rocking the jersey. So when you have the best point guard in the league rocking the
Over
jersey,
Curry?
yeah, he's the greatest, bro. When you have the best point guard in the league rocking that jersey, man, it just looks good. And I hope they did what they did last year. The same thing with the Hornets. Fix the court up when they match it with the jersey. And so, of course, you see the little blue on the collars. It's just those in the Hornets. I feel like those are top two. No debate. Phoenix ones was cool, but I ain't like the all black and then the little. I ain't like that too much. But those are the best jerseys.
I love the like the collar and down the side, the little Vancouver Grizzlies motif, because they wore those throwbacks last year, and I love those uniforms. So that's cool.
Oh, and just not to mention, dark horse, most improved player of the year.
The city jerseys this year were better in years past. I think this year the designers did a better job at.
I think they put in more work
on these jerseys,
and they're not done yet. They're also releasing another jersey, the earned edition for playoff teams.
Oh, the earned edition.
Anybody who made the playoffs last year is going to get another jersey. So
that's tough. I remember in 2K, the Warriors used to have like 8 jerseys, just straight 8 jerseys. Them the Rockets, like the Cavs, they used to have mad jerseys, bro.
So in the chat right now,
why do they keep coming from our Bulls?
So the chat right now, they're saying, why didn't we put the Spurs in there?
They suck.
I love the Spurs Pinata jersey, but when we're talking about the best city jersey, for me, it had to be the Hornets.
Well, I had the Spurs at like 3 on my list.
Thank you, Sean. Shout out to you, Sean. They keep paying.
Sean says the 76ers have the best city jerseys. I think they're pretty dope, but
I thought their cinema jerseys last year were pretty dope. The little the light.
You know whose jerseys I think are dope? I think the team that has some dope city jerseys are the Blazers. The one that has Oregon, and it's like a brown.
I like the Miami Heat ones, the South Beach jerseys.
Those are some good jerseys.
They should have brought them pink ones back.
My favorite part about the entire jersey was they're calling it the vice versa.
Oh, Dante, you're a Knicks fan.
Miami Vice.
Oh, vice versa. Oh yeah, because of the gradients and stuff. Yeah. That's pretty dope. Nah, but yeah, bro. Don't unsubscribe. We're not disrespecting the Spurs.
He loves the Spurs.
Yeah. Nah, I love those uniforms. I wish they would go back to the pinata look full time. Like, I think that look is so much better for them. And I get it, like, the black, white, and gray was very Greg Popovich, but I think they need to turn the page.
Yeah, they're too boring.
Move forward. Get the color back into it.
I think they're boring because they're in San Antonio. I don't think it really.
It's actually really lit in San Antonio. That's the sad
reality. Have you ever
reality.
been there?
Bring me back.
I actually have a friend that lives there, though. That's the crazy
Bring me
part.
back the Fiesta uniforms.
I'm with you, Greg, man. One of my favorite players is DeJounte Murray, so I'm here with you, man. San Antonio, man. We here.
So now we're going to get on to our next segment, the NBA opening day schedule, and the next day after opening day, the schedule came out along with the Christmas Day schedule. So right now we're just going to do a quick overview on what opening day and the day after is going to look like so you guys know. So the preseason games are scheduled from December 11th to 19th. December 22nd is opening night. The Warriors versus Nets at 7 p.m. The Clippers versus Lakers at 10 p.m. This is all Eastern time. So what do you think about the opening night? Warriors versus Nets and Clippers versus Lakers.
We're starting on opening night. Yeah. Okay, I think the Clippers and the Nets are a great story. Kevin Durant facing his old team, Steph Curry versus Kyrie. It's always a great show when they play. So I think they did well on that. I think Clippers-Lakers, I think they did well on that. You know, Clippers and Lakers games are always fun to watch, always gritty. Plus, Montrezl Harrell and Jermichael Green just went to the Lakers. So, you know, and Marcus Morris just said, we're going to beat excuse my language, but we're going to beat their ass too. So that's a good story. I like that first day. That first day is good.
I think Jermichael Green is on the Nuggets.
You know, when he went to the Nuggets, he's a sucker.
First of all, I just want to say I'm like a kid in a candy shop looking at this. I said to you guys the other day, basketball is my favorite sport. So to be getting it back after 60 days of not having it is like a blessing. And then also as a Net fan to see my team, you know, regardless of what they're going to be this year, to see them having an opening day game, a Christmas game, be in the spotlight is awesome. I've never had that as a Net fan. So to be betting that for real, like, it's really cool. So that was a cool thing for me. Obviously, I love seeing the Nets taking on the Warriors, the KD storyline. I think that's great. And I think it's going to be a really good game to start the season. And then the second game, obviously, is going to be a great game. But the storyline, the NBA is just, it's the greatest television drama there is. the Lakers are going to be getting their rings in front of the Clippers on opening night. After the Clippers launched that whole advertising campaign last year, we don't want the spotlight, yada, yada, this, that, and the third. Well, you didn't want the spotlight. Now you get to watch the Lakers in the biggest spotlight there is, getting their rings. With Montrezl Harrell, who you basically shoved out the door. There is nothing better on reality TV. Watch the NBA. It's better than any drama you can watch.
I think The Bachelorette is there. Now, a lot of people like The Bachelorette. I never watched it, too. But I think this opening day is pretty good. I kind of wish that these games were on Christmas. I think they would have been better on Christmas. Yeah. But then, I mean, the Nets and Warriors, it's going to be a great game. Clippers and Lakers, it should be a great game. But I think the day after, December 23rd, they have some good games. The Bucks and the Celtics at 7 p.m. and the Mavericks versus Suns. We're going to get to see the new look Suns the second day that the season starts. Against Luka, exactly. So I think that's going to be a really fun one. And I can't wait because this season, there's so many teams that are balanced and that can make a run at the playoffs. It's going to be really interesting to watch what happens this upcoming season.
Are teams allowing fans or not? It's just empty arena.
I think different cities have different rules, but probably no fans is probably the way they're going to go. So now we're going to go on to the Christmas schedule specifically. Okay, this is
I gotta go.
This is a schedule: the Pelicans versus the Heat, the Warriors versus the Bucks, the Nets versus the Celtics, the Mavericks versus the Lakers, and the Clippers versus the Nuggets. In your opinion, are you impressed or disappointed by this Christmas Day lineup?
This might be the worst lineup I've ever seen in my life. I'm talking about the worst. First of all, 12 p.m. It's a good game. Boston, Toronto. That's a pretty good game.
That's last year's, I think.
Oh, that's last year's. He said, okay, this is the one from this year.
No, because I was thinking of the lineup from this year. That's why I said it's the worst. And you going to know that?
All right, this is the one.
This is the worst lineup.
The one on the bottom.
Okay, I'm sorry. Pardon me. This guy got me looking like a fool. This is the worst Christmas Day lineup. This one right here is. Let me tell you why. The Heat should be switched out with Dallas. The Heat should be playing the Lakers on Christmas. The Warriors should be playing the Nets on Christmas. No, I lied. The Lakers should be playing the Clippers. The Heat should be playing Boston on Christmas. Why are the Heat playing the Pelicans? There's no storyline on that. It's essentially just a regular game.
It's just to have Zion in there.
Yeah, but like Zion could have played LeBron or something. He could have played Luka. It could have been the new stars facing. Could have been the Pelicans and the Mavericks. The Heat should be playing Boston. It should be an ECF rematch. The Warriors should be playing Nets, Kyrie and KD versus Steph Curry. Like I feel like the matchups. I feel like the only good storyline matchup is at 10:30, which the 3-1 comeback, Denver and the Clippers playing again. This lineup doesn't make sense to me.
What? There's no good storyline at 5 o'clock.
I think Nets versus
I think that's
Celtics.
more of a good game than a good storyline.
Kyrie Irving going back to Boston for the first time.
We already seen that.
No, he didn't play in Boston last year.
He didn't play in Boston last year?
So I think that'll be a good game. But okay, when Warriors versus Bucks, I don't think that was a good game. You know, what's the storyline in that? Giannis goes to the Warriors. He gets beat by the Warriors, and now Giannis demands a trade.
They're talking about it after the game.
So, yeah, you know, I don't see a good storyline in that game. The Pelicans versus Heat, they just wanted to fit in Zion in there. And then, but, like, the Heat might blow out the Pelicans at 12 p.m.
I don't think so.
And Clippers versus Nuggets, that's good. Mavericks versus Lakers, I guess that's okay because Luka versus LeBron, the present versus the future, I guess. But I agree. The Lakers should have faced the Clippers. Basically, opening night should have been Christmas. Nets versus Warriors, Clippers versus Lakers. And then you can have the Pelicans play, but maybe make the Pelicans play the Suns or something. Or Dallas would be a good one too. But for the Pelicans to just face the Heat could have faced a different team. I really don't like. Or the Heat could have faced the Bucks. I would have rather
the Bucks. They could have did that too. They could have ran it back.
I love the Christmas Day schedule. I think there's 5 great basketball games. I think you guys aren't giving
all
the
of them are great.
You think that 12?
Yes, I don't think you're giving the Pelicans enough credit. Did you watch them last year down the stretch with Zion coming back? They were a different team. I think they could definitely compete with the Heat.
I think we watched Miami down the stretch last year too.
Yeah, 100%. Miami's a great team, but I think the Pelicans are a great team too. I think that Bucks and Warriors is another great game without Klay Thompson. I think the Bucks should win that game.
The Bucks legit could blow them out.
Respectfully, there are two teams on this list that did not make the playoffs.
No, the Bucks can legit blow the Warriors out that day.
I think for Christmas Day, it's different because in years past, you got to see teams play before you made the Christmas Day schedule.
But I feel like they still could have made this lineup better.
Yeah, I think you should have gave respect to teams that made the playoffs.
There's a reason for the two teams on there that didn't make the playoffs, though.
I feel like
Zion and Curry.
The Warriors didn't make the playoffs last year because Steph was hurt and Clay was hurt. They're getting Steph back. They just got James Wiseman.
What I read on a sports report.
Did Steph take them from 15 wins to 40? I don't think they would have done that. Even with Steph,
they also got better all around.
That team was horrible.
They also got better all around.
No, I think what I read on some sports page that they're doing this because of ratings. They're just trying to get Steph and Zion in for just ratings. But I feel like you could have added Utah to play Denver again because they blew a 3-1 lead. That would have been a good storyline. Like you could have thrown Toronto and Miami again, or Toronto and Boston again. They had a juggernaut series last year.
Yeah, but when
it could have been more games better than these.
Toronto and Utah are not box office.
No.
And they
if you look at it from a box
both were there last year.
But I'm saying there's different games because, like I said, Clippers and Lakers should have been Christmas Day. Nets and Warriors should have been on this day too. I think Celtics,
you guys are really downplaying that Nets Celtics storyline. Like Boston hates Kyrie Irving. I don't know if you've been following.
I think the Warriors hate KD.
I disagree. I don't think that the Warriors have that much ill will towards the guy who got them 2 rings.
And KD hates Steve Kerr.
Maybe so, but I think you guys are downplaying that Boston-Brooklyn storyline. Like Celtics
no, I'm not
fans
downplaying
genuinely
it. I think it's
Kyrie
a good
Irving.
one.
I think it's a
but
good game. I just feel like I'm more entertained to see Steph and Kyrie and KD than Kemba Walker and Kyrie and KD. Jason Tatum.
I'm excited to see Kyrie back in Boston, even as taking me being a Net fan out of the equation. Like that's just a good, he's going to where, the place he betrayed. Even last year when he sat out and he didn't even go to Boston, if I'm not mistaken, they still had signs. They were literally trashing him pre-game and he wasn't even there. So.
Yeah, I think I was disappointed in the schedule because I feel like they could have done better. I get the Zion wanting to have Zion on Christmas Day, but I don't think he necessarily deserved it, or the team deserved it, I should say. The team didn't deserve that spot, and that's just being honest. Another team should have been in that spot. But yeah, I mean, this was an okay lineup. I'm not going to, I wasn't impressed by it. Kind of disappointed. I guess by what you're saying, you're disappointed in it too, and you're impressed. You like it.
I just think it's 5 great basketball games.
You keep saying 5. I don't know if it's 5 great ones.
I think it's 3.
2.5.
So what games don't think the Pelicans Heat is going to be a good game, and then
I think
the Warriors
blows them out, and I
Bucks?
think the Bucks can. I think Steph can make it a great game, but I legit think the Bucks can have an opportunity to really blow the Warriors out. I feel like
Drew Holiday is going to be on Curry.
Yeah, and he doesn't. He's going to have to pass it off to Kelly Oubre and Andrew Wiggins.
It's hard for me to say because I haven't seen the Warriors with the way they're going to be looking, but I think that it's going to be a good game. You look at the Warriors; they have the personnel to guard a guy like Giannis. Like they have the bodies to clog the paint. Draymond Green and James Wiseman.
Are you relying on a rookie?
No, I'm not relying on him, but it's not about a one-on-one matchup. It's about clogging the paint. So
I think those are the only two guys that can
one-on-one
go there. Yeah. I don't think Draymond. He's 6'6".
Well, no, I'm not saying one-on-one matching up with him, but the whole thing is you throw one body at him and you clog the paint.
But I think Milwaukee can go 5 out this year.
Yeah, now they can definitely because he's going to have to
Holiday,
guard Brook Lopez.
Brian Forbes, I think he should start. Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton, they can go 5 out this year.
James has to guard Brook Lopez out there. He can shoot that ball.
Even so, I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
I think the games to get great at 5.
Yeah, the 3 games are the best 3 games by far.
But
I still think that those 2 are going to be very good games.
So now we're going to go on to recent NBA news.
Yeah, you really did that.
So everybody knows a blockbuster trade, if you want to call it that. Russell Westbrook got traded to the Wizards and John Wall got traded to the Rockets. And also a first-round pick in 2023 is going to the Rockets as well. So we're just going to react to this trade. Who do you think won this trade, the Rockets or the Wizards? I know I put a poll up on the YouTube community tab on who won. People think the Wizards won this trade. And then second, people think nobody won this trade at all. But who do you think won this trade?
To me, it's just like 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other, except
What?
It's,
Well, you
it's
said
half
it
a
too-
dozen is 6.
No, you
6,
just
6.
said it too fast. That's what I was like.
Like it's such a lateral move to me. I guess the thinking is Russell Westbrook is a more sure thing coming back than John Wall coming back from an injury, and it's worth it for the Rockets to get that pick because they don't have their own pick until 2027. So they don't have any first round picks in that span. So any assets that they can bring in, it makes sense for them. So
Wait, who doesn't have to
the
2027?
Rockets, if I'm not mistaken, they don't have their own first pick until 2027.
don't.
I could be
I
wrong.
don't know.
But
I
that's
have
what
to
I
fact
saw.
check that, but
You can
Okay.
fact check
that
me,
right
but
now.
I'm pretty sure they don't have their own first round pick until 2027. But nonetheless, even if they do have a pick or two, they don't have a lot of picks. So any picks that they could bring in, it makes sense for them. And like I said, the Wizards are betting on the health of Russell Westbrook. But when you look at these two guys, it's like they're essentially the same player. Over the last 5 seasons, out of guys who have taken 2,500 jump shots, can you guess the two dead last players in effective field goal
Go on a
percentage?
limb and say
I mean,
these
it's
two
Westbrook
guys.
It's
and Wall.
Westbrook at 78, John Wall at 77. If you put them, their career averages into the NBA last season, John Wall, his career effective field goal percentage would have been at 419, and Russell Westbrook's would have been at 426. So, like, they're the same dudes. They're good playmakers. They're not great jump shooters. They're elite around the basket. They don't shoot the ball well. Like, you know what they are. They're very similar players. It's just one is coming off a very bad injury and one isn't. But from every report that I've heard, John Wall is great.
Yeah,
And James Harden is one of the first guys who has come out to said that, and he's been playing pickup with him since quarantine started. So it makes sense all around.
I think James Harden gets enamored with the new shiny toy whenever he sees one. I say that because you didn't like how it worked out with Chris Paul. Then you thought Westbrook would be such a great idea. Now you realize it didn't work with Westbrook. Now you play some pickup basketball with John Wall, and you're like, front management, get me this guy, and I won't ask to go to Brooklyn, right? So then they give him John Wall or whatever. This was a win-win for both teams and for different reasons. It was a win for the Rockets because it raises their ceiling, right? You get a point guard who isn't going to shoot 30 times a game, who's going to, even though Wall is not a good three-point shooter, he knows that. So he's not going to shoot it. He's not going to shoot it. Westbrook doesn't care.
He's essentially smarter.
He's a better playmaker. He's a pass-first point guard, especially when he's playing with players that can score. In Washington, he was asked to score because he was the main option. But when he has Harden and other players, he can probably hit that 10 assist number again. So if they get a fully healthy John Wall, they'll be good. He raises their ceiling, and I know that stat about the efficient field goal percentage, like I heard that, but he shot 50% on corner threes. So he can make open shots. And I think last time he was healthy, I think it was 2017 or 2016, he shot 37% from three. So he's shown that he can shoot better than Westbrook, but also he won't take those shots as much as Westbrook, which benefits the Rockets. For the Wizards, I mean, I think you're not really banking on Westbrook's health. I think you were going to be banking on John Wall's health. Westbrook is a former MVP. He's been pretty durable his whole career.
Oh, no, that's what I meant. Like, they're getting a healthy option rather than...
and Westbrook is a former MVP. He's healthy. He's going to be really, really good for the Wizards. He might average a triple-double again. You know, he might average, not again, but he's going to average another triple-double in his career with the Wizards. But the Wizards, what was their goal? Because the Rockets' goal is to go to the championship, and this raises their ceiling, gives them a better chance, I guess. The Wizards' goal is to what? Make the 8th seed? It's definitely not to tank if they're doing this move. So their goal was either to get rid of John Wall's contract or be a competitive team. And does Russell Westbrook make them a competitive team? He does.
In the East, yeah.
Makes them a playoff team.
I'm under the belief that this is kind of a win-win for both teams in a sense. I think, like Joel said, John Wall is essentially a better player for Harden because he's a playmaker. He also, I don't think Joel said this, he's also a better defender than Westbrook. He's going to play defense every night. You know that from John Wall. But at the same time, we haven't seen John Wall healthy in almost 2 years.
Yeah.
And so we don't know what that athleticism
coming
is
off
still
an Achilles.
that explosion is still. We don't know, but we know for a fact he's still going to be a great playmaker, and he's still going to be able to play great defense. He played all NBA defense before, so we know that's going to come in. And with Washington, Westbrook is going to come in. He has shooters everywhere, So he's going to come in with a system. And Bradley Beal has learned to play off ball and on ball, so that's going to be good. So you got a guy who can score, take some of the load off. So I think essentially Washington can be a 7th, 8th seed team in the East. It's a pretty good team, and they still have young talent.
He's reuniting with Scott Brooks, his old coach.
And John Wall is reuniting with DeMarcus Cousins. So a little bit of a...
I mean, the thing about Houston is that they're banking on 2 players coming off an Achilles injury to basically be their former self. And how likely is that to happen? I mean, the only thing that's on John Wall's side is time, because he's had about 2 years to recover from this injury. So that's what's on his side.
Supposedly he's been fine since January to come back, and they didn't bring him back. I don't know how that makes sense, why they wouldn't bring him back.
Just to get him,
I think when people failed, I think when people forgot, when Bradley Beal started to become more of a scorer, John Wall's points per game went down because he took a backseat, because he's okay with being that pass first point guard, that playmaker, because that's what essentially he wants to be. That's what he was at Kentucky. So now you got a 35-point scorer on your team. John Wall is going to love that role. He's not going to be Westbrook. Oh, I need to take this shot. I need to be a scorer. No, John Wall is going to love averaging that 18 points per game and that 11, 12 assists, 2 steal type guy.
But I think the Rockets have had probably the quietest and most underrated offseason of any team. You go out and get a sign and trade for Christian Wood, who I think he's one of the most underrated players in the league. Nobody really knows about him. Eric Gordon is still there. Daniel House is still there. Marcus Cousins is coming.
And
McLemore, PJ Tucker's there. Then you have James Harden, we know what he is, and Boogie, John Wall. Hopefully he's healthy.
Boogie could give you 12 and 8 on a good day.
I don't know, coming off the Achilles. I do think Robert Covington, losing him is going to hurt. It remains to be seen, but he was a huge piece of that defense. Defensively,
new coach too.
They're still missing that big.
The reason why I'm not sold on Covington being such a huge loss is because when you saw him, he can't guard guards. He's very slow laterally. He was more of a protecting the rim. They had him play like the 5 and block
really
shots.
Guard elite.
Christian Wood is 7 foot basically, so he can block shots. He can be that protector for them. Now they don't have to play small. Now they'll get rebounds. They don't have to have PJ Tucker being out there. PJ Tucker can slide to the 4 or be a 3.
They can actually have a big playing the 5 that can stretch the floor. They don't have to put PJ as a 6'5" big playing the 5. That was terrible. Now they can put a 6'10" forward out there Christian Wood, who can shoot the 3 ball. He can also get rebounds, and he can still play defense. Robert Covington, he's gonna be missed, but at the same time, I feel like he can be, because offensively he wasn't that good. He wasn't shooting a good percentage last year. So he can be fixed. That can be fixed. I think they're still going to be a good team because James Harden's a good defender. Eric Gordon's a very underrated defender. He's good. PJ Tucker is a lockdown defender. So I think they're going to be okay.
As much as this move, it's the weirdest thing because it makes sense, but it also, to me, made no sense. I don't know if that makes sense how I'm saying it, but
they kind of traded for the same
exactly.
Yeah.
It wasn't the goal of trading Westbrook to get that contract off. Now you just have the same thing in a more injury prone guy. I guess I think
Westbrook's was longer. It was like a year more.
If I had to say, I would say the Rockets won. If for no other reason than they got a pick, and I think they got a slightly better fit. And more so just because I think this is a loss for the Wizards. I think it was a very short-sighted move. You look at them this season, what are they? What is their goal? You mentioned it before. They're a playoff team in the East, I think is fair to say, but can they upset any of those 6 teams that I was saying before are locks in the Eastern Conference?
Who's your locks?
I don't think so. The Bucks, the Celtics, the Heat, the Nets.
No, they can't upset anybody.
Oh, okay.
So
they're going to be a first-round exit team if they make it.
And now you have this big old contract on the books. Another thing that has kind of been swept under the rug over the past year or so was before John Wall got hurt, there was always reports about Bradley Beal and John Wall butting heads because John Wall was an alpha. He played through injuries. He was a dog, and Bradley Beal was not that. Bradley Beal was a type B personality, and it always caused issues in that locker room. So what did you replace John Wall with? The biggest type A personality the league has to offer. And we don't think that's going to cause any problems when Bradley Beal is going to try and sit and rest an injury. It's going to be the same thing that happened with John Wall.
I think it'll be just more of a problem on the court because Russell Westbrook, nobody's really gotten along playing with him. Harden is his best friend, and he wanted him out of there after a year.
And
I think that's more of the problem.
What is Bradley Beal's best skill? Isolation scoring.
I think he's shown it. Yeah, this past season, I think he's shown it.
I think he's shown it because he had to.
I think he can. I think he can.
Yeah,
I think he can slide down and still be that.
But you're losing value on him having him be a spot up shooter to an inefficient ball dominant guard.
I think they'll take turns, but it'll be annoying for Beal because now this team becomes Westbrook's team.
Exactly.
It's not Beal's team.
And you're taking away from the development of Denny Avdija. You're taking away from the development of Hachimura. Even a guy like Thomas Bryant. Like, I know these aren't top of the line
To
names,
be fair, I think that Westbrook actually helps that. Because there's no doubt about it that Westbrook makes it easier on those guys to get to their spots and score.
Maybe getting open looks,
because Hachimura, he's not an isolation guy.
He's more of a pick and pop.
So I think pick and roll guy. Thomas Bryant's more of a pick and pop guy. Like outside of Beal and Westbrook, nobody on the Wizards can really create their own shot. So they're gonna have to dominate the ball most of the time anyway.
Well, Denny is a good playmaker.
Denny's a rookie, so I'm not even trying to say like he's gonna be this and that. But
I was just speaking from a sense of like total percentage of shots. You already had your isolation scorer in Bradley Beal. I just don't know if this addition makes sense. And moving forward, like you just put yourself in purgatory because you're going to be a playoff team or at least close. You're going to be at least a 10 seed because the bottom teams in the Eastern Conference are still not that good. So you're not going to be towards the bottom of the lottery at all.
You're going to be right there.
You're not going to get a great pick.
Possible.
So, I watched it with the Nets. It's not a place you want to be. And it's going to take an incredible job, leaps and bounds to rebuild that when eventually, Westbrook and Beal get older and can't carry the load like they're going to this year. So I don't know. It didn't make much sense for me for Washington. I get it for Houston. It's a big gamble in my opinion because Westbrook coming off that injury, you don't know how he's going to recover with that Achilles wall. And there's still going to be all the chemistry issues.
Do we think Harden still goes or he's?
No, I think he still goes. It really depends if they don't start out good and they're not meshing, he's going to demand a trade. And he should get traded so he can have a chance to win.
And the other problem is if this doesn't work out, they don't trade Harden this year and this doesn't work out and they don't what's the expectations for the Rockets this year? Now that they made the John Wall trade, say he comes back.
In the building, what's their expectation?
They can beat any team outside of LA and the Clippers.
So now if they don't do that, say they lose in the second round or lose in the first round, it's going to
lose in the second round too.
I'm just saying, if they do, it's going to reflect very bad on James Harden because now he's gone through Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, John Wall, all top tier NBA point guards. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I'm just saying that's what it's going to be spun as. He's had these three top tier point guards, and what's been
that's what it's going to look like.
Factor.
Not really, because I think
the Chris Paul one
the context behind the Chris Paul is the only one. The context behind it is that John Wall is coming back from an Achilles, and Russell Westbrook was coming back from a quad injury in the playoffs, and he can't shoot, and he wasn't a fit. And Westbrook, I think more so, has shown that he can't fit with anybody. As the man, Westbrook has not even gone out the first round.
I agree.
Harden is not that. So I think Westbrook
I agree with you.
When it comes to Chris Paul, you can put the blame on Harden for that. But these other two guys, I'm not buying it.
I agree with you. I don't
think that'll be the headline, though.
I just feel like there's going to become this stigma of, everybody that goes to play with James Harden ends up underperforming. That's just what I feel like is going to happen if they don't at least get to the point where we think they can be this season.
Okay. I see where both.
We had the same discussion the other week when we were discussing trade rumors coming out of Houston. He didn't work with Chris Paul. He didn't work with Russell Westbrook.
So the knock
on
him is that he doesn't
Austin
work with
Rivers. He had
guard.
problems with Mike D'Antoni. Everything there has changed. He's been the one constant, and they haven't won. I'm just saying that's what it's going to get spun as, in my opinion.
I don't really think so. I don't see it that way. Yeah,
of course you do.
I don't see it. Because I really don't see it that way. Because John Wall's coming. If John Wall was healthy, but he's coming off an Achilles injury.
I get it, but at the same time, if you go through three people, if you go through three different point guards, all good to elite playmakers. It can't be all of them. And
all guys that he wanted to bring in.
Yeah, it can't be all of them.
I'm not trying to knock Harden. I'm not even saying that I buy into that, but I'm just saying this. And On top of that, the star player in the situation is always going to catch the heat. You look at
I think it's more so Houston not willing to accept that their time is up as contending
I 100%
than it
agree with you
is
on that.
Harden than it is Harden trying to shuffle up teammates.
I 100%
really
agree
think
with
it
you on
is.
that. And I think that if Houston was smart, they would have shipped James Harden to Philadelphia this year and gotten Ben Simmons and a couple picks and called it a rebuild.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Especially with a new coach. Now you're putting the coach in a bad position because now he's got to deal with this mess this year, chemistry-wise, and putting all these pieces
together. If it
together.
is a mess,
if it turns out to be a mess,
I don't think it's going to be that bad though. John Wall, I don't think it's going to be.
Yeah,
that bad.
I'm not.
I'm saying more
I'm not
chemistry-wise
on the
than
boat
on
of like trying to have sympathy for Steven Silas. I think he has an MVP player right now, and he has a good roster. He's not put in a position like Tom Thibodeau in New York.
No, talent-wise, it's all there. I'm just saying it's a little bit of a sloppy situation to get thrown into. Your star has apparently requested a trade. Now you're bringing in a disgruntled point guard from somewhere else. 2 guys coming off Achilles tears. Like, it just seems like grasping at straws. It seems like a very Tillman Fertitta thing to do. Grasping at straws to contend when it's not really there, and it would make more sense to rebuild under a new regime. Like, that's what it feels like to me.
We're going to go on to the next topic, and this is a topic about the Boston Celtics. After trading Gordon Hayward, they now have a $28.5 million trade exception, which means they could trade for any player that has a $28 million per year contract or even less than that. And the question is, who do you think that the Celtics should target to get over the hump and be championship favorites, or do they need to target anybody? What do you think?
I think what their downfall has been the last couple of years has been Giannis last year, Bam. Well, sorry, Giannis 2 years ago, Bam last year. So the concept would be they need a big that's bigger than Daniel Tice that can rebound and defend and also be a threat on the offensive end. And I think that should be their go-to right now, to get a big that can essentially help them stop Giannis or contain Bam in that situation, because that's been their lacking. They have the wings, they have the guard play. They just haven't had that consistent big. And I think Tristan Thompson, he was a good like Band-Aid. I think he's gonna rebound for them. He's gonna be a good defender. But I feel like they still need that all-star type big that can really change the East up and give damage to Bam and Giannis for them to really get over the hump.
I agree. I have 2 names. The first one is, like I told you before, a team that I was going to talk about again in the episode, Rudy Gobert. You don't know what the chemistry is like after what happened last year with the Jazz, and if they're looking to move him, it will be the perfect move. He would fit into the exception, and he's the best defensive big man in the league, or at least close to it. He's a defensive player of the year candidate every year, and automatically he would improve their team so much on the defensive end. And he's not a liability offensively. He's not great offensively, but he's solid offensively, especially with the team they would surround him with. But I think that's a little bit more of a fantasy land proposal, because I don't think the Jazz are going to end up moving him. The other more realistic option, and I think that this would be a perfect move for both sides, John Collins. He's not the interior defender that Rudy Gobert is, but he improved a lot last year as an interior defender. And you're talking about a Hawks team that just drafted Onyeka Okongwu. They just signed Danilo Gallinari to a huge contract, and Bogdanovich to a fairly big contract. And John Collins is due for an extension after this year. And supposedly there has not been any progression in their talks in that contract extension. So if they're going to move him, why not at least get something back? Or if they're going to lose him this offseason, why not at least get something back in this package, when you really can afford to lose him at that position? They have great depth down low. And you're talking about a guy on the Celtics side who last year averaged about 21.5, 10 rebounds a game, shot 58%, and shot 40% from 3. He can stretch the floor, and they can still play that 5-out system, and he's a solid interior defender, would clog up that paint a little bit more and give you a more reliable big man option.
I don't think the Celtics should make a move. I think if they get desperate, then possibly they could. But right now, when I look at their roster, they're about 10 guys deep, like 10 or 12 guys deep. Like you
started laughing.
But they have Jaylen Brown, that's one, Jason Tatum, Kemba, Marcus Smart, Jeff Teague coming off the bench, Daniel Tice, Tristan Thompson, the combination of Grant/Robert Williams, that's 9 people right there. The rookie Aaron Nesmith, is he going to play? That's 10. Payne Pritchard, Carson Edwards. Like, they got some guys. Like, right now, is John Collins an upgrade? Yeah, but now you got to pay him long term, and I don't think he's a good defender. So is he going to really elevate the Celtics ceiling? I don't really see that. And like a guy that I would get that doesn't even cost $28 million would probably be a PJ Tucker, because they need more guys like that need to do the dirty work. They need to dive for the loose basketballs on the ground. They need more guys to shoot corner 3-point shots. They need guys who are going to be the heart and soul. PJ Tucker would be a perfect fit in Boston. I mean, Boston's logo is like what? That's a Celtic, right? Or a 4-leaf clover, whatever it is. It's not a 4-leaf clover. 3-leaf clover. You look at PJ Tucker. He's that guy who brings in that 4-leaf clover personality. PJ Tucker brings in that 4-leaf clover personality. He's good luck. He's one of the flyest players in the league.
He's good luck.
He's one of the best 3-point shooters. He's one of the best 3-point shooters in the NBA. PJ Tucker changes the culture of a team, and he can go to Boston and he can change their culture, and they can become favorites if they land a guy like PJ Tucker. If you have a lineup of PJ Tucker and Marcus Smart on the floor together, I think that's one of the most unstoppable defensive lineups that's in NBA this season and in the last 10 years in the NBA.
That was beautifully said, but it was a super stretch. PJ Tucker does not change the culture. He's not good luck. What has he done for the Rockets the past 2-3 years?
He has to be.
Like, I like PJ Tucker. It would be a solid addition for them, but I think they could do better with that trade.
If they have a lineup out there of Kemba, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and PJ Tucker,
he can't play the 5.
He can't play the 5. What do you mean? He's shown he can play the 5.
He got bullied in the playoffs last year.
He can play the. Who got booed in the playoffs?
He got bullied.
AD
destroyed.
That's Anthony is going to be one of the best players ever.
And that's who they have to plan for, because that's who you have to get through to win a championship. And I'm imagining the Celtics.
You don't have to get through him.
Wait,
who do you have to get through? Do you have to get through?
You have to get through. You have to get through Giannis.
Let's talk about the East.
Okay, let's talk about the East.
Bam is going to get every rebound.
You have to get through 6'11" unicorn Giannis.
What about Tristan Thompson?
You have to get through Bam.
Tristan Thompson.
You can't start Tristan Thompson and PJ Tucker.
You could put PJ Tucker at the 4.
Okay, so who's going to start at the 1, 2, 3?
You're
going to leave Marcus Smart out the game?
Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum,
so where's
Jaylen Brown.
Kemba? What's wrong with you?
Put him on the bench. You can't play defense.
That's not
if you have this, Jaylen Brown locks up, Marcus Smart locks up, PJ locks up. Tristan is pretty good defender.
PJ scores
Jason
8 points
Tatum
a
is a
game,
good
and he can
defender.
only score in the corner.
They're not.
That's
they're
all
not
they need him
putting-
for. They
they're
got
not putting
Jason Tatum
Kemba
and
on
They have
them.
Marcus Smart at the 1.
I'm just saying, I think PJ Tucker is a better fit. John Collins, right in the modern NBA, you need guys who can switch. John Collins can't switch onto perimeter players. Like, he can't. PJ Tucker can.
For the Celtics right now, with their personnel, they need somebody who can guard the 5, and that is what
That's not John
does
Collins.
better than PJ Tucker.
He's not better than Tristan
Can I
Thompson.
say
at doing
something?
that.
Can I say something, guys? That was the worst take I've
Except
say in my life.
Tristan Thompson is not that good of a player at this point in his career. Maybe if you're
He's
talking
a
like,
way better defender than John Collins. It's not
That is
close.
true.
It's not like it's
No,
really
it's
not
not
close.
close.
he's maybe a better defender than John Collins, but John Collins is world's better offense.
Okay,
Oh,
but
yeah,
what do
yeah,
the
that's not
Celtics?
close.
What do
So-
the Celtics
They
need?
don't. The Celtics
They don't
don't need
need
another guy
offense.
who gets the ball, but they don't need a 6'5" big man.
They have
They
3.
need a defensive.
PJ can play the
rim
4
protector.
or
yeah,
the 3.
I
Come on.
agree.
No, they don't need him to play the 3. They have Jaylen Brown.
If
and
you have him
Jason
off the
Tatum.
bench, that's a huge addition. I think that's a huge addition to their team.
Okay, yeah, off the
He doesn't
bench.
even have to start. He can come off the
they
bench.
have off the bench. Okay, yeah, that's cool, but they don't. They have a Grant Williams who's probably going to be better than PJ Tucker. So
He's
they
not
don't.
better than-
So no, I didn't say he is. I
He
said
can't
he's
even
gonna
shoot.
Be, he's gonna be better than PJ
Come
Tucker.
on, man. That's a
PJ
stretch.
couldn't shoot till he was 31.
They don't need to trade for a bench guy though. They're not looking for a bench.
They
guy.
need a star.
They need an interior player.
I mean, I think a better option than John Collins would be Aaron Gordon. I think he can switch better off on players.
That's another.
He's
wing,
not a good
though.
defender.
He's a
and
4.
He's
though.
not as good offensively as
If
John
you think
Collins.
Aaron Gordon is not a good defender, then John Collins is
He
not
is-
even in the
he
vicinity
is
of being
not,
a
way
good
he
you
is
defender.
play
not
Aaron
as
Gordon
good a
at the 5?
defender as John Collins.
You what?
I do not think.
You gotta
I do
watch
not
Hawks
think-
games. No, I'm
John
telling you,
Collins
John
is
Collins
bad.
I
is
do
horrible.
watch Hawks games.
No, I watch every Hawks. I'm telling you, John Collins is horrible.
Okay.
No, he's
Okay.
really bad. Like, no, he's bad. Like, he's bad, bro. Like, it's like, I get it though, but they don't need that either. They don't need another guy because he's a scorer. Like, John Collins is a scorer. They need Rudy Gobert was a good one, but they're probably not.
They need a rough rider. That's PJ Tucker.
No,
that's who he is.
They don't need a rough rider.
They don't need anybody coming there with Houston.
What was Boston's problem in the playoffs? Marcus Smart called it out. We don't have enough guys that are hustling. We don't got enough guys that play with heart. PJ Tucker brings that heart to the team. He said that. But he said that.
What about
holds true?
What team in the NBA has more heart than Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum plays hard? Like, they had heart. They also had heart. They also had a center.
You know what I mean?
I have a question. What about Vucevic?
They had a center that couldn't stay on the court. Daniel Tice was a liability in the playoffs. He cannot play starter minutes in the playoffs.
But you know what Marcus Smart is talking about when he talks about heart.
Yes, and he's
talking about guys like
he's not talking about PJ Tucker.
He's not talking about guys like Fred VanVleet
and
guys like that.
And I'm telling you, he's wrong. That is not what they need.
Wrong.
It's cliche. It's literally a hand-fed.
They don't need that.
It's a hand-fed PR department.
They went to the ECF with no bench.
No.
They got Jeff Teague, who's going to be one of the best backup point guards in the NBA this upcoming season.
Why do we keep saying that?
Because I think he is. Who's a better backup point guard than Jeff Teague this
Schroeder
year?
plays basketball.
He's going to start this year for the Lakers.
Starting.
Who's starting over
LeBron starts at the 1. He's a 1 now.
Okay, but I didn't say the best. I said one of the best.
No, you said name me a point guard who's better than the backup.
Name me a second one.
No, that's not
no, you can't think of one because Jeff Teague is that. All right, Jeff Teague is that second guy.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying that you need more guys off the bench. Now they got Jeff Teague. So now they drafted Aaron Nesmith. Get PJ Tucker, some guy who could play defense. That's what I'm talking about.
They don't need PJ.
Let me tell you why I don't think it would work because their problems in the ECF was Bam. Bam was literally their problem on defense and offense.
He cannot handle Giannis.
I think Tristan Thompson would do a good job on Bam. We're forgetting that they have Tristan Thompson.
I'm gonna say why he can't because when they put up in the pick and roll, Tristan Thompson can't go out there and guard anybody on Miami on the perimeter.
And the other thing about Tristan,
you can't play him for too long.
If it was
and Bam can go out there on the perimeter,
Thompson, it would be different.
Yeah.
But Tristan Thompson presents a similar problem to what Daniel Tice was. Like, he just is so one-dimensional at this stage. Like, he rebounds and he's a solid interior defender.
That's all they need.
He's a negative.
What if Bam takes him out on the perimeter? What can Tristan Thompson do then?
He's 6'9". He moves pretty good laterally. He can defend some guys, man.
Yeah,
Tristan Thompson is not that bad.
I'm like he's a band-aid. I feel like they need an all-star.
They're not getting an all-star center.
A good call from the chat. A good call from the chat. Akil said Vucevic.
I said that.
Vucevic would be perfect.
I said that 5 minutes ago.
You guys looking at it as in like doing offensive standpoint.
How about Andre
they
Drummond?
Need defense,
but they also need somebody.
He's a better Tristan Thompson.
They need somebody who can stay on the court offensively too. Daniel Tice is a fine interior defender, but he was not. They
literally need an Enes Kanter and a Daniel Tice
combined.
No, they need a guy who can. They need a guy who's going to shoot threes. Who's going to work his tail off
in the corner.
That's PJ Tucker right there.
They're going to get out rebounded again.
PJ Tucker, look at me. PJ Tucker cannot guard Giannis. Cannot guard Bam. Cannot guard Anthony Davis.
Neither can John Collins. What are you talking about?
He can put up a much better fight than PJ Tucker.
No, he can't.
A much better fight than PJ Tucker.
On defense?
No, he can't.
Defensively?
I feel like he'll just score more than PJ,
crazy.
But I don't know.
You said to my face that John Collins would do a better job on Anthony Davis and PJ Tucker. I think do you go on 2K and just look at the listed height and that's how you determine who's going to do a better job? PJ Tucker is
okay. How did it fare in the playoffs last year for the Rockets? Tell me that.
They lost,
destroyed him.
But what would have happened? What would have happened if John Collins was guarding Anthony Davis?
Would have destroyed him too.
But PJ Tucker is much stronger than John Collins. That's why he can do better against big guys like that.
I would say this: a lineup of Kemba, Smart, Brown, Tatum, PJ Tucker would literally lose them in a playoff series again with Miami. They would lose again. They probably lose to the Bucks because that's just 6'5" centers are just not it. They need a big that's better than Tristan Thompson. He's a band-aid.
Big.
Yeah, he's a Tristan Thompson is a band-aid. The same thing as Daniel Tyson. He's a band-aid that's going to get them as far as they can get them. But to get over that hump and to get to that finals, they need a big.
I don't even know if the Celtics right now could get past the Sixers. Who's guarding Joel Embiid? Tristan Thompson?
I think we say this every year about the Sixers.
They beat the Sixers
and
repeatedly.
And
They
the
beat them
Sixers,
4-1.
the Sixers had health problems.
No.
last year.
Before that, they beat them 4-1.
They beat them without Kyrie, with the rookie Tatum.
They beat Joel Embiid. Well,
and we were asking that same question about the center. Who was the starting center that year? I don't even remember.
I don't remember either. Yeah,
They had Al Horford. That's the reason. That's the reason the Sixers went out and signed Al Horford.
That's fair. You got it on
Oh,
that
whatever.
one.
A career game for him is 12 points.
Joel Embiid didn't dominate them last year, though.
Because it was Joel Embiid against.
What was Ben Simmons
Celtics.
going to do offensively? Can I ask you that? Like, what was he going to do?
Don't talk to me like
No,
Ben
sir,
Simmons has not changed the look of that offense. He's a better playmaker than anybody else.
He
they have
is,
on
but
the
like,
roster.
he's not going to take away any type of attention towards
Plus,
Joel Embiid.
the Sixers made a lot of moves to get better. This
Okay, yeah,
offseason.
now they're
Sneaky.
like, they're dangerous, but I'm saying they
All right,
need,
let's move on.
because if they played Embiid right now with that PJ Tucker guy, they're going to get destroyed.
Who?
The Celtics. If the Celtics go get PJ Tucker and they play Embiid right now, Embiid will average 30.
Yes,
on
that's
them.
what,
you guys are
that's what I'm
forgetting.
saying.
It's not just having Tucker; it's having Tucker with the guys they have now.
They have shooters.
Tristan
though.
Thompson.
You're not going to
good.
be able to double team if you have Ben Simmons out there with Tobias Harris, Seth Curry, and Shake Milton. That's not you can't leave Shake Milton, Seth Curry, or Tobias Harris open.
I think
Well,
you can sometimes. Yeah, you
Seth
can
Curry
sometimes.
and Shake are 40%.
Seth Curry is
Shake on
Curry's
very
a
low
top
volume.
five.
yeah, but all he has to do
three-point
is
shooter
stand
in the
there
league.
and be ready.
On very low volume, I don't really trust Shake Milton doing that.
But you trust PJ Tucker shooting threes in the corner.
No, I trust PJ Tucker's heart and his hustle,
my-
and he's a
was just
BR
hard.
and he's a BR kicks champion. Who on
What
the
the hell?
who on the Sixers is a BR kick
That's a
champion?
troll.
Nobody's a BR kick champion. So he's a champion at something that nobody on the Celtics is a champion of yet. Nobody on the Celtics is a champion outside
Next.
of Thompson.
Next.
VR kicking. Oh man.
So look, this next topic we're going to talk about is Kevin Durant denying the rumors that he talked to Harden about coming to Brooklyn. So he basically knocked down the report by a reporter. He said, I don't know where you're making these stories up, and that anybody can make up a story that gets traction. And the question that I want to ask you guys is Kevin Durant lying about not talking to Harden about coming to Brooklyn?
Yeah, I think they've texted each other a few times. I think they talked about it in person. So I think all these players essentially lie. It's just when they get caught and the media catches it, they feel like they have to say, oh, no, because we didn't do that because it's a part of tampering. But I do feel like him and James Harden have definitely spoken about teaming up and playing together. And I feel like all players do that in the league, talk about it. Because the NBA now, people are more friendly. They're friendships, groups, all this. Like, they're more close together. So I feel like they've definitely had this discussion during all-star games when they hang out in the summer or open gyms. So, yeah, I definitely think he's lying.
I think
So too.
I think they spoke. They've been playing together this summer, if I'm not mistaken, which is where these rumors began. I think they definitely mentioned it to each other, like especially with Harden wanting out of Houston. I think that was a thing before the Nets even came up in discussion. So I'm sure there was a little, like side note, even if it was a joke, oh, hey, come to Brooklyn, whatever. I don't think it was what everybody's making it out to be. I don't think it was Kevin Durant laying out a sales pitch. Here's this, and this. We could give up this for you. Actually planning out and plotting a trade for him to Brooklyn. I think there was probably an offhand comment or something, and it spiraled into this. But the media made it out to seem like Kevin Durant was actively recruiting James Harden to Houston, which I don't think it was, and I think that is why he shut the rumors down the way he did. But yeah, I'm sure he did say something to James Harden when they were playing pickup. It would be silly to think he did.
I think it was much more than that. I think Kevin Durant wanted James Harden, and James Harden went to Houston and said, look, get me to Brooklyn. He said he demanded a trade. He said Philly or Brooklyn, but Brooklyn's his preferred destination. Why? Because he's linked to Kevin Durant. Do I think that Kevin Durant went to the front office and said, make this happen? I don't think that. The only reason Kevin Durant knocked down this report is because he doesn't want to have beef with his teammates. You don't want to go into the season when you guys haven't traded James Harden yet and have Karis LeVert, Dinwiddie, Jared Allen looking at half of the team, basically saying you wanted to trade us. And at the end of the day, who cares what those guys think, regardless, because it's for James Harden. But what I'm saying is that you don't want to cause a rift in the locker room. I also don't believe in Kevin Durant's way of doing this, because just how he doesn't like it when reporters are coming at him or asking him questions about trades or free agency or these rumors or whatever. I mean, when you knock down a report, basically calling it false, that it's made up, now you damage the career of that reporter because you're basically damaging their credibility moving forward. And I think that's not right to do when it's obvious Kevin Durant is lying. Throughout his career, he's been lying about things like this. And Golden State, when they asked him about free agency, he basically said he was going to stay in Golden State. Then on the podcast, on All the Smoke, he said mid-year he was going to leave
at the
regardless.
Game with him and Kyrie, they was talking
and
about
he
it.
knew he was going to leave regardless. Then in OKC, he said that there were no problems with him and Westbrook.
He would never leave.
Like Westbrook and him are brothers. He would never leave. Then when he leaves, he doesn't even text or call Westbrook and tell him, hey, I'm going to leave. And Westbrook finds out like the rest of us. I think this Kevin Durant
snake.
That I think what Kevin Durant did is kind of messed up because you're ruining the credibility of a reporter that can ruin their career. Just say no comment or just say, I worked out with James Harden, but I'm not trying to, we haven't talked about that, or just say it's a private conversation. You don't have to go and say that reporter's lying or the story's false and it's made up, because that now is taking it too far.
Well, you're just assuming it wasn't made up. Like, I understand why you're saying that, but
you just said you literally just said it'd be dumb to believe that they didn't have a conversation about that.
Yes, and I also said it's not what it was made out to be, and it was only made out to be that way through reports that made it seem like Kevin Durant was actively recruiting James Harden to Brooklyn, which then in turn,
I'm pretty sure Malika Andrews reported that, and she's a credible reporter.
Yeah, no, 100%. But I'm just saying the story can be twisted. It's like a game of telephone. The story can be twisted, source through source through source, and I'm just saying, I question that Kevin Durant would have a conversation like that in a pickup game that probably included other Nets players, because, again, he was playing with Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie all summer long, and those are the guys that everybody was talking about in trade packages. So I question that he would do something like that coming off of the heels of what happened in Golden State, what happened in Oklahoma City, and the reputation that he has. I don't know that he would go about it like that.
But after you play a pickup game, you go onto the bench and you go and you talk, you laugh. They could have done that. It couldn't have just been something on the court that, Kevin Durant gets a bucket and James Harden's like, yeah, man, I want to go to Brooklyn.
I want to start by saying this.
Something different.
Let me start by saying this, because you said Kevin Durant, Karis LeVert, and Spencer Dinwiddie all worked out. And that's fair. Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and Nolan worked out. But Steph Curry and KD were never off-court friends. Like they might have been cool, but they never – when the game is over, they go their separate ways.
I could tell you this: Kevin Durant and Karis LeVert are very close.
Yeah, Karis LeVert is one of the people they're trying to keep in Brooklyn. I know that for a fact in the trades. But I would say this: that story about Kyrie, like the last year in Golden State, when Kevin Durant was dodging the media, telling them there is no rift, telling them he's gonna stay, telling him all this nonsense, and then on that podcast talking about him and Kyrie made the decision to go to Brooklyn. Well, Kyrie was also lying too. I think we all remember that.
And he promised to stay in Boston.
Yeah, Kyrie was also lying.
That was early when he did that.
No, but he also after that he said he didn't make a decision yet. That's the lying part. Him and KD said they didn't make a decision yet. But at that All-Star game, they both said that they were talking about it and they made the decision. We're going to Brooklyn. That's where we're gonna go. So it's like
they were premeditating where they were gonna go.
Yeah, like you can't like he said, that puts bad rep on the person that's reporting.
And I guess
you make it seem like they're a bad reporter when they're not.
It's okay if you don't comment on it, or you basically say that you haven't thought that far. But when you go on to say that the media is just after that, they're just out to get you, and you're just a victim in this whole thing, and that the reports aren't credible, when all of these reports that KD has been attacking in terms of the media just being out to get them, have you noticed that most of them have been right? About him wanting out of OKC, about him wanting out of Golden State, about him going to New York, whether it wasn't the Knicks, but it was Brooklyn. They've been true. And this whole way,
you can't slide that in there.
And
that's the same thing.
And this whole way, Kevin Durant has been saying that all of that stuff that has come true was false. You shouldn't be bashing a reporter for a report that's probably true.
I think that there's a drop of truth in everything, but when you go back and look at all those reports,
your analogy.
It's not even an analogy. When you go back and look at those reports, I think that all of them were stretched more than what they were at the time. And I think that this report is another example of that. I agree. There's probably a grain of truth in this. They spoke about it at a pickup game one time, but again, I don't think it was made out to be what the report said it was. Kevin Durant was actively pushing the Nets to go out and get James Harden. Like,
somebody said, swap Harrison Barnes for Chris Middleton and go back. He's not lying, but like I want to say this because to your point, when they talk about how KD was bashing all these reporters, there was this one reporter. He reports for the Tribune for Golden State, and then he was talking about he put out this report on how Kevin Durant is jealous of Steph Curry, how the fans love Steph Curry dearly, and they don't treat Kevin Durant with the same. They treat Steph like a god in Golden State, and they don't treat Kevin Durant like the person he feels like they should treat him. He says that was false. He never acted like that. He never felt that way. He goes on the same podcast with what's that? Matt Barnes and
All the
Steven
Smoke.
Jackson. He goes on All the Smoke and says, "Yes, I was jealous of Steph Curry and all the hype." So that's like that goes back to.
But I don't think that was the problem, though. I've said that multiple times. I think that the problem was Draymond. And Draymond, because I think he was fine giving Steph Curry the spotlight, just like LeBron was fine giving the spotlight to Dwayne Wade when he went to Miami.
It's the point of you make these reporters look like they're lying, and then like you bash them throughout that whole process, and then a year later you say, "Oh no, that was true." Like that's not cool because you put a bad rep on them and you make them lose their job, and then they can't report the same way because you make them.
They
look
won't
bad.
lose
Nobody's
their job,
not lose their job,
but you make people question what they reported.
Yeah, and then we gotta then. You look like a snake. Like you're a snake. Like that's not cool.
But it's like I said when you said it. Even in that report, I think it was only half true because I think if it was just Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, he would have been fine sharing that spotlight. But the fact that Draymond Green was taking the ball away from him on a last-second shot opportunity,
No,
like,
I
that's
think
what
it was
really
more
got
Curry.
it.
Yeah, I
disagree.
I really think it was just
disagree.
Curry. Like because Kevin Durant's a jealous man, and he felt when he got to Golden State when he won. We should have gave him more credit, and nobody gave him credit. He felt like Steph Curry in Golden State was praised like Michael Jordan in Chicago, and he was praised like Scottie Pippen. That's how he legit felt. But you were never gonna get that praise. That's like LeBron when LeBron went to Miami.
I think he was annoyed by Draymond, but he was what's the word for this?
I disagree.
He threatened by Curry.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm going to say almost completely the opposite. I think that he was annoyed by Steph Curry getting the shine. But I think that Draymond is what pushed him over the edge because when you hear the story, you guys keep laughing.
He's a 7-point per game scorer.
When you no, I get that.
Serious.
That's the thing that I'm saying. Like when you look back, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson never would offer any pushback, and that is widely reported. They would never they were doing anything to cater to him. The only one that would ever say anything to him is Draymond Green because he's the only one out of that group that has that abrasive personality.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't for him, I bet Kevin Durant would still be in Golden State. Because Steph Curry and Klay Thompson would cater to him and make him seem like he was the number one guy if that's what he wanted.
I think he was always going to leave because he felt like it's like when LeBron went to Miami. LeBron knew Miami would never treat him like Dwayne Wade. But he still didn't need that validation. Kevin Durant needs that validation.
Towards the tail end of his Miami days, that was LeBron James' team.
No, it was always LeBron's team, but he never would get.
But Dwayne Wade is loved in Miami way more than LeBron.
Yeah.
Even if LeBron was a better player, Dwayne Wade was always loved more in Miami. That was his city.
And that's why I think he went to Brooklyn because he wants to make it his. Like he feels like he needs to make it his thing.
Same thing with Kyrie leaving LeBron.
So let me ask you in that sense, bringing it all full circle, if that's what he wanted out of this, then why would he ask for James Harden to come in? Because if anybody's gonna,
because everybody thinks KD's better than James.
If anybody's gonna challenge him for the spotlight, coming off an Achilles injury, Kyrie's not gonna challenge Kevin Durant for the spotlight. I love Kyrie more than the next guy, but
it's different when it's Brooklyn. Brooklyn has never won a championship in their history. Golden State came off an historic season and they already won a championship.
I think that's not what he's saying.
That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, because you're talking about James Harden coming into Brooklyn and being looked at as number one guy and taking more of the credit. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. What I'm saying is that people think Kevin Durant is a better player, and if you're banking on who to be better in the playoffs, I think Kevin Durant will be better in the playoffs than James Harden. Mm-hmm. And even if they win, that's James Harden's first ring. That's KD's third ring. So at the end of the day, James Harden, if anything, has to take a back seat if he goes there. It's not the other way around where KD had to learn to fit in with these guys.
I love that you look at it that way, but the wide range of the basketball community would not. That's just the way Kevin Durant is looked at. His 2 rings are a fraud, whatever, yada, yada, this, that, and the third. And if James Harden came to Brooklyn and they won a ring, it would just be spun as Kevin
Not
Durant
really.
taking a backseat again to another super team. Like, he would not get any credit for that ring. Even if they win this year, I guarantee you there's going to be people that discount his ring because him and Kyrie teamed up in Brooklyn.
No, come on.
No.
Now you're just stretching.
I think if Harden goes there, people are going to look at it like, all right, well, your team is kind of loaded. But I think if just Kevin Durant and Kyrie win it, I think the league is even enough where they're going to say, all right, no, this is a good win.
All
this
right.
one's meaningful.
Now we're going to move on to the next topic. And I'm just to end off that, I don't think that Kevin Durant would get less credit because people already have a reputation of James Harden, that he's a choker. So if he wins a championship, if anything, people are going to look at KD differently for winning it. And plus, it's different because it's going to be the Nets' first championship in team history in New York, in Brooklyn. If you do that, if you do anything good, great in New York that stands the test of time, you'll get immortalized forever. KD is going to get a statue in Brooklyn if he wins him a championship. And that's what he wants to love. He just didn't like it because Curry got the credit.
And if he traded for James Harden, he'd have to share that statue. So why would he want to bring
I think
in
that's
another
always
guy
what
that
Kevin
he'd have to
Durant wanted,
share
though,
the
a
shine
statue somewhere.
He just wants
So
to be
let him
loved
go out
and
and earn
respected.
it.
He was never going to get in Golden State.
No, I'm saying in Brooklyn.
Oh, he got
Rather
he
than
got
trading for another superstar.
I
I think
agree.
he feels he can do it on his own.
think
It would be nice to
he
have
has the
James Harden
talent.
if they could get him at some cheap discount price.
Oh my God!
But
Just say you don't want James Harden in Brooklyn.
No. I don't think you're hearing what I'm saying. It would be nice. I'm saying for in his mind, it would be, and that's what I'm saying. He dropped this little thing like, yeah, it would be cool to have you come and play in Brooklyn. But in the reality of it, like, I don't think he wants to expend all these assets and kill his depth for another guy who's just going to take his shine.
I don't know. I doubt that. But nonetheless, we're going to go on to the next topic. This is a player that's not anywhere near his former All-Star MVP status. It's Isaiah Thomas. At one time, he was an MVP candidate in the 2016 to 2017 season. He averaged 29 points per game with the Boston Celtics. But ever since then, he got traded to Cleveland, then got traded to the Lakers, then signed with the Denver Nuggets, got no minutes. Then this past year, he was with the Wizards and averaged 12 points, 4 assists, shot 41% from 3 and 41% from the field. Should Isaiah Thomas get another shot to play real minutes in the NBA? 6-man, be a bench player.
You want to start on
I
this?
just want to ask for what and where.
For what? Like what? I mean, you tell me of a team, and
Who needs a 5'9" point guard?
the Knicks.
Oh my God!
Are you being serious?
No, I'm dead serious.
Yo,
I
Dante
think
said, hell no.
I think that instead of Alfred Payton, the Knicks should have signed Isaiah Thomas.
What the?
You're crazy.
I think so. I
Yo,
think
you
so.
give me. You make me
He
so
can
mad.
shoot.
Okay, but you don't need a guy who's just gonna take shots from your young guys.
He is not progressing you anywhere. Like, he's not
Yo,
doing
Dante's
anything for you. He's not
Alfred
making.
Payton is.
He's
He's
not.
a playmaker. You need that.
Come on, man.
He averaged 8 assists a game.
8.
Yeah, I think it was
Alfred
7.5. I'm rounding.
I don't
up
even think
eight.
it was that.
All Isaiah
willing to
Thomas
gamble
is like he's an isolation
Put your cake piece
scorer.
up.
He's not a playmaker. He's literally the worst defender in basketball. He's 5'9". Like, I just don't see what he brings to the table. Maybe he's like a gadget piece off the bench, but I don't see.
Was he Jalen Hurts?
I don't think he belongs in any starting lineup. Maybe as a 6-man on a bad team, which, I mean, no offense, but I guess the Knicks are still in that development phase where they're not really competing. So
Well, they're a bad team. Yeah,
if there was any spot for him to go, I guess the Knicks might make sense. But for any team that I was in charge of, I would not be bringing in Isaiah Thomas.
7.2. That was awful.
And I like Isaiah Thomas, but
look,
he had his run. He has never been the same.
I want to
since
say
that
this.
hip
I want to say
injury.
this before you go, Joel. I was never high on Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah.
I feel like like even when he was having that great year, it was a great year, but I feel like a guy who's that small, taking that type of shot, he was never going to lead you to the promised land. Then when he had the hip injury and the way that whole situation went down, I was like, yeah, it's over. So I'm in the business of, if you are the worst defender in the league and you don't offer that elite, like Trae Young offensive firepower, you shouldn't. And you're not a great playmaker. There's no spot for you in the league. G League.
when I was researching this topic, I was trying to think of teams, and I was, I put up in my Google search and I said NBA teams. I went down the list, the arrow that lets you scroll through the teams. I went through the teams, and I'm looking at all the teams, and I'm like, damn, there's no team that I could see him fit on besides the Knicks. And I said, Alfred Payton, because honestly, I don't think Alfred Payton should be on the Knicks. I think I would have been much better with Isaiah Thomas being on the Knicks. That's me personally. But I'm like, damn, he doesn't fit anywhere on any team. And I think it sucks because this is a guy who had a great story, a great year with Boston, and Boston really did him dirty. And ever since then, his career has went downhill.
I agree with you, and I think it speaks towards loyalty is only a word in the dictionary, especially when it comes to the NBA. Like, loyalty means nothing. And you look at, I am a big Danny Ainge critic because I always say about Danny Ainge, he will only make moves that he knows he 100% wins on paper. If they went out and got Anthony Davis the year that the Pelicans were trying to trade him last year, I think, if they went out and got Anthony Davis, they would have won the championship. There's no question about it, but he was scared to give up those assets to do it because he didn't know if Anthony Davis was going to stay. He's scared to pull the trigger on deals he won't win.
That was a good move.
That was a deal that he 100% won at the time. You were getting Kyrie Irving, who, nobody could have saw it playing out the way it did. And if Kyrie stayed at the level he was in Cleveland, they would have been the best team in the Eastern Conference.
I think that first year they was.
And you look at what happens from Isaiah Thomas from then on, coming back from the surgery, he's never the same. So they sold incredibly high on him. And although it didn't work out, I mean, it kind of did. I guess Kyrie leaving hurt it, but you weren't going to get better value for Isaiah Thomas, and all he was going to be was, a contract on your team that was only hurting you and blocking whatever talent you had there, which I think is what he would be for any team right now. I just could only see him fitting with bad teams. He's like a very much worse Russell Westbrook for me.
Because somebody even mentioned right now he could fit on the Clippers. They need a point guard.
I feel like Reggie Jackson is.
Yeah, because Reggie Jackson I think is better than Isaiah Thomas, and it's kind of disappointing and sad how bad Isaiah Thomas's career has went.
I feel
you look like Isaiah Thomas.
I don't want this to seem like I'm an Isaiah Thomas hater. I'm just speaking candidly. I really like Isaiah Thomas. He has a great story. I think that picture of him getting drafted and being Mr. Irrelevant and having the only person speak to him on draft night was one season ticket holder from the Kings. He didn't have a single reporter by him. It's a great story. And he went to Phoenix and played really well and then went to Boston and was one of the best stories that I can remember in recent NBA history. But at this stage in his career, he's 5'9".
He's done.
A terrible defender. I just don't see where he fits.
So now we're about to move on to our last two topics of the episode.
I thought we was done.
Yeah, so now this is the last two.
Boy, I don't even like him.
Should Giannis stay with Milwaukee after the offseason moves that they have made?
Is it Milwaukee or Milwaukee? Did you say Milwaukee?
I love the way you say
Milwaukee. You say Milwaukee.
Milwaukee, I don't know. I don't know how it is. That's how I pronounce it.
I don't know. That's how you say it, though.
So I just say the Bucks. Should he stay with the Bucks? I'll go first.
You want to hear something funny, actually, before you start? Supposedly, the Bucks city design, when it got leaked earlier in the year, was supposed to have a Greek marble design inside the numbers.
God. Yeah, they wanted to stay back.
And when they dropped it, this past week, it did not have that design anymore. So either they feel very confident he's coming back or not confident at all that he's coming back.
Sources are telling me Danny Ainge was holding out the assets to potentially land PJ Tucker.
But go ahead. I just thought that was a funny tidbit.
I think it really depends. I think this is a make or break year for the Bucks and Giannis. And it sucks because he's a free agent next year. And it sucks because they probably won't be able to trade him and get anything in return. But this year they went all in. I mean, Drew Holiday, you brought in DJ Augustine as well,
Craig.
Bobby Portis, Torrey Craig, Brian Forbes, who's a really great three-point shooter. And you still have Middleton, Lopez, DiVincenzo. So this team is good enough on paper to win the championship, or if not, get to the championship. And this is the last straw for the Bucks. If they don't win here, I think Giannis leaves. And the Bucks know that, which is why they mortgaged their whole future by trading away all those draft picks to the Pelicans for Drew Holiday. And it just sucks because if they don't win this year, Giannis, I mean, why would you stay in Milwaukee? They don't have any cap space to get better. They don't have any assets. to trade for another player, a star player, and they have no draft picks to get better through the draft. They're basically going to be stuck. And I saw the interview of him talking about LeBron James, basically praising him that he's still the best player in the world, which we all knew. But he's saying that Giannis is the guy who wants to be remembered for winning championships. He wants to win a championship. And if he can't win in Milwaukee, he's going to leave. And I think they're not going to win this year, so he's probably going to leave.
I'll say this, the Bucks front office had to be shaking in their boots watching that interview because he essentially said I would be perfectly fine taking a backseat role as long as I win a championship. And they are not getting a second star to come to Milwaukee. So
the way I took that interview is I look at stuff like this. I look at it as how do you want to be remembered in NBA history? Do you want to be remembered like a Dirk, winning a championship for that one city? Do you want to be remembered like a Kobe, staying forever no matter how much went through it? Or do you want to be remembered like a LeBron, like a Shaq, like going to different teams, winning chips with it? Like, how do you want to be remembered in history? And I feel like the Bucks this year, I'm pretty high on them. I think they have the tools to win the chip. I think we can all say on paper, they look like they can definitely make a run for their money and win the chip. With Drew Holiday, you got them boys out there. So I think, in a sense, he's talking about he wants to play, like he's willing to take a backseat to LeBron and Kevin Durant, but I feel like he's discrediting his own talent. I don't think he needs to take a backseat.
He is one of those guys.
Yeah, I think he is one. He can be one of those guys that you take a backseat to him, and I think him trying to play with them is only gonna put a asterisk on the title he wins. I feel like he should go to like a Miami, and Jimmy Butler takes the backseat to him, or he should go to like a place like that. Yeah, Toronto, and that would be I didn't even think about that before, but that would be a really great place, him and Pascal. But I think, like, how do you want to be remembered in history? He wants to be remembered for winning championships, but we all know this from the Kevin Durant experience and the Steph Curry experience and the LeBron and D-Wade and Miami experience. We remember championships differently, and we put asterisks on a lot of championships. I think the only respectable championship we really put high in that mark is 2011 with Dirk. That's what we think, like, that's one of the most respected championships in our era. So it's just about how does he want to be remembered in history, honestly.
I hate this topic because I remember I hate a lot of topics. I just hate talking about this because I feel like I'm going to contradict myself because I look back at...
We'll help you, don't worry.
I look back at when Gordon Hayward left Utah, and it was like, damn, they did everything they could to retain him. Like, they brought in talent to surround him. They trusted him, drafting him. Like, they developed him. He grew so much there. What more can they do? And it just seemed like at that point, a small market can never win in the NBA because if you draft low, you play bad basketball, you draft high, and you get a superstar, you develop him, and then their rookie contract comes up and they go to a big market. And that's just the cycle. And I said when Gordon Hayward left, I was like, why don't any of these guys want to stay and like make their own mark on things? But then you look at it, and I give Milwaukee a lot of credit for doing what they've done. They have Chris Middleton, who's a nice number 2 for him, I guess. They went out, they sold the farm for Drew Holiday. They're doing everything they can in Milwaukee to give him a supporting cast. But when you look at it, so that's why in like a fairy tale, I say, yes, Giannis, there is no question you should stay. Like, this is your home. They're doing everything for you. They love you. Like, you belong there. You should stay. It's the morally right thing to do.
You should talk to him.
You know what I'm saying?
You should definitely talk to Giannis.
Morally, it's 100% what you should do. But then you look at it from a basketball standpoint. Is he really going to win a championship there? Like, he needs to take his game to another level if he wants to do that, because nobody's coming to help him, especially with the cap situation they're in with Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton. I think Lopez has a pretty big contract. Like, they got some big contracts on the books. Nobody's coming to his rescue. Like, it's on him at this point. And if he really wants to go out and maximize his opportunity for a championship, it would make more sense from a strictly basketball soulless standpoint to do what Anthony Davis did, get out of town as fast as he can, and go to a bigger market, go to somewhere, even if it is Miami or Toronto, somewhere where they have a better core in place. And even Toronto and Miami are more attractive free agent destinations. So that would give him a better chance to win a championship. But if I was in the position, and I get it, I never will be, and I can't speak towards what it must feel like, but like I can't help but feel like I would want to stay in Milwaukee. Like, look at what they've done for you. I just feel like it's such a backstab to leave.
Tissue in here. Gotta wipe my eyes.
Because here's the thing, like a lot of people will compare it to LeBron, but when you look at what Cleveland did, Dan Gilbert was a horrible executive. They did nothing to retain him.
He came back though.
They brought in Antoine Jameson, Shaquille O'Neal.
At those times,
the only way they ever brought in talent was him leaving and giving him a wake-up call and a smack in the face, and they ended up getting lucky with Kyrie Irving, and then they went out and traded for Kevin Love.
Because Delonte West was good.
Come on.
They were the favorites.
Come on,
man. You're crazy.
Why were they the favorites? Because LeBron James.
But look,
they never brought in talent to surround him. Milwaukee has not done that. They haven't sat on their hands. I want to say something really quick. They've brought in talent. They've tried their best.
I want to say something about from a strictly basketball perspective, he also has to look in the mirror. He has no jump shot. His jump shot is completely broke, and that also limits their offense because of his lack of skills in a sense. He is very dominant. He's one of the most – he probably is the most dominant player in the A, but his limitations on offense are also, from a basketball perspective, are one of the reasons why they also do lose. Because yes, he does.
You're 100%.
Yes, he does put it all on the floor. He does need some help too, but his limitations are also what's holding them back too. So you got to also look at yourself in the mirror as well as the front office. The front office just did their job. So now you got to do your job, like you said, and you got to go out there and you got to improve as a player too.
And you're right. On paper, they got the talent to try go and make a run at the chip. I mean, they have Jrue Holiday, one of the best defenders in the NBA. They have Chris Middleton, who's a good sidekick. They have the all-time leading scorer in Nets history in Brook Lopez, who, you know what he gives you on the defensive end and with a three-point shot. Giannis, Brian Forbes, a good shooter. So they can make a run. It really just depends on him improving his game, like you said. But I really think that this year is do or die for Milwaukee. And I think they're not going to do and they're going to die. And Giannis is leaving.
If he was going to stay in Milwaukee, like if he was dead set on staying in Milwaukee, and I think if they win a championship, it changes the discussion. But if he was dead set on staying there, he would have signed an extension already. We're a week away from training camps. Unless something unexpected happens, LeBron has signed, AD has signed.
AD has signed.
No, I just said AD has signed.
I think AD was waiting.
LeBron got an extension. So, and AD signing that 5-year extension and them extending LeBron also signals
they're staying together.
Yeah. So, and another aspect of looking at it is it's got to kind of not be a smack in the face, but it's got to hurt for Giannis to see Milwaukee struggle and scrape these picks together to go get Jrue Holiday, who Jrue Holiday is a very good player, but is he even an all-star talent?
Yes.
Yeah, he is.
Okay, so a bottom of the barrel all-star talent. Out of all-star talents,
he's not. I think he could give Kemba a run for his money, though.
Okay. That's what I would also have Kemba in that category. Yeah. Look at what they just had to do to put together a package to get Jrue Holiday. And the Lakers literally snapped their fingers and got Dennis Schroeder, Montrezl Harrell, Marc Gasol. Coming off a championship, they reloaded like it was nothing.
I mean, if we're being honest, though, the Bucks are probably going to have 3 All-Stars and Jrue Holiday, Chris Middleton, and Giannis this year.
Players, yeah. Well, 1 superstar, 2 All-Stars.
2 All-Stars. So I think that's good enough.
I think.
No, but I'm saying in a sense of look at how easy teams like the Lakers get talent. It takes nothing for them to bring in talent. But they got
Schroeder because of a trade.
It was that easy. And that trade was pretty easy.
And Dennis Schroeder seemed very happy to be going out.
Oh, yeah, but
I thought he wanted to stay in OKC.
He said that, but Montrezl Harrell took a pay cut to go to the Lakers.
They gave up a first to get Schroeder.
I'm under the belief.
And that's all OKC. They just traded with them in the perfect time.
I just feel like small market teams, and I feel bad for them essentially because they're never going to get that, that over the top. They're never going to be able to keep those players because of the big market teams. But I do hope Giannis stays because if he does stay, it will create more, great teams in the East, and it'll keep the Bucks in contention. But he's probably going to leave.
And I think it would just start to change the way free agents look at the decision because the last 2 really big ones have been LeBron, who left Cleveland. Well, LeBron twice. He left twice. And Kevin Durant, who left Oklahoma City and then left Golden State. So it's been hopping around from city to city, and Giannis staying would be a nice reminder. Some guys want to stay somewhere and make a place their home. I think that's an important thing to have in your league. And I think that Giannis would be a good guy too.
I just look back at Dirk's career, and he blew 3-1 leads. He was an MVP, lost in the first round. Like, he went through trials and tribulations, but never left, never gave up. And I just feel like Giannis, like, sometimes these guys are just giving up a little too quickly. Like, Giannis is only 25, 26.
Yeah, he can be that guy.
Yeah, and
too.
if he gets a jump shot, God, they don't need much help. Like,
and it's not like he was a horrible jump shooter last year. Like, he was slightly
Three-point
below
shooter?
average.
what are you talking about? Your jump shot in general?
From 3 last year, Giannis is slightly below average.
I
He was
think he was
not a
bad.
terrible jump shooter.
I
What
think
was
when
his
it mattered,
percentage?
he was bad.
Wait, what's his percentage?
yeah,
What's his
of course.
percentage from 3?
I believe he shot a little bit above 30%.
What's his volume? I
Hold
feel
on,
like when it mattered,
I'll
he
find
was
the number.
just horrible.
And that's what I'm saying. When it mattered, he was horrible because he didn't shoot them. He didn't want to shoot them. But I'm saying I think he has the ability
He gives me Westbrook energy.
to have a jump shot. You know, last year from 3, he shot 30%. It's not great. It's below.
What
It's
value?
slightly
What value?
below average. He shot almost 5 threes a game. So like
makes
he was
one.
shooting them.
1 or 2, give or take. He has to get better at that.
30% is not a terrible number.
What's his free throws?
Oh, he's a bad free throw shooter.
See, so a combination.
63%.
Yeah.
But LeBron's a bad free throw shooter. And
LeBron's an
LeBron,
average free throw shooter. Like, shoots 70%.
yeah, Giannis is 63%.
No, yeah,
not like he's
63.
that far
That's an
off.
F.
It's a bad number.
That's an F in
Like,
school.
Especially when he's shooting, 10 free throws a game.
Yeah, okay.
It's not a good number.
Yeah,
So-
okay, I get what you're saying.
But
has to get better.
he has, like, there's a basis there to build off. It's not like he's Ben Simmons, never made a 3 in a real NBA game. Like, he's got a basis. He's a hard worker. It's there for him. I don't see any reason he can't become at least an average jump shooter.
I think the fact that he wants to be
It's
take
a
a
mental
back seat.
thing.
I think the fact that
It's
he
a
wants to take
mental
a
thing.
back seat really makes me look at him as a different player, because no player with that caliber of talent should want to take a back seat. Shaq never wanted to take a back seat to Kobe. Kobe never wanted to take a back seat to Shaq. D Wade, his first year with LeBron, didn't want to take a back seat until he realized he wasn't healthy enough. So
I
it's
guess
like,
I just think that players now have more self-awareness, and I guess they're not as egotistical and arrogant as players back then.
or taking the easy route.
Not
to
really,
winning
because
championship. Kevin Durant took the easy route.
every great player's done it. Like you look at the top 5 players in the league right now. AD did it for LeBron.
But
LeBron
AD's
did
was
it.
different. The Pelicans were horrible, and they were never in a title picture. The Bucks have been in the title picture for 2 years straight. LeBron and Cleveland.
Okay, but I'm
that's
just
a fair
saying. I'm just
assessment.
saying that. You
And the
talk
Pelicans were also
about
in the
Curry.
West.
You talk about Curry, but Curry's never had to make that decision because his organization wasn't dysfunctional.
Yeah, that also comes. The organization problems also come into play too. But they all, the organization and Curry built themselves up from the ground up. They built together. Just the same with the Bucks and this organization. They built themselves up.
Yeah, the only
from the
difference
ground.
is that the Warriors drafted the best shooter of all time,
You didn't know
Exactly.
he was going to be the
or the
best
second
shooter.
best shooter of all
but-
time in Clay.
But
But
they
wait, did we
developed
knew
at the
Steph
same
was going to be
pace.
the MVP? No, we didn't.
No, we didn't. But I'm just saying.
I think the case is Golden State brought in Klay Thompson, who's the greatest shooter. Didn't bring him in. They had Klay Thompson, who's
They
the second
drafted-
greatest
they drafted
shooter
him,
of all
yeah.
time. Like, they also had Draymond. They brought
I mean, yeah,
in KD.
Draymond. I mean,
like,
the
They brought in
Warriors. Are
Iggy first.
the
though.
Warriors were the
Yeah.
perfect situation of draft well.
Yeah.
and it, it happens. And
Yeah.
Milwaukee.
But I'm just saying, you said Curry. Now he was never put in that position. And other star players are put in where they are the main guy. They have no help for the most part, and they know they can't get over the hump unless they leave.
as much as I give Milwaukee credit for trying, like, is that the best they can do? Is Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday? Like, that's really good, but it's not the Lakers going out and getting Anthony Davis. What other superstar is going to want to go to Milwaukee? It would never happen that way. If Giannis ever asked a guy to come play in Milwaukee, the conversation would shift to let's go team up and play somewhere else, because nobody wants to go to Milwaukee. No offense. It's just not a big market. It's not Miami. It's not a glamorous place to be. So as much as I give Milwaukee credit for trying, it's just a difficult place. There's not this great history there like the Packers. Like, Green Bay isn't a very flashy destination, but the Packers are one of the greatest franchises ever. So people are going to want to play for them.
Now people
Milwaukee
don't go
doesn't
to
have
people
that.
don't go to play for Green Bay.
I think
though.
football is a little different. Though.
No, they don't.
But you get what I'm
get
saying,
free
like,
agents though. They don't get free agents.
You get what I'm saying, though. Like, Milwaukee doesn't have that history. They don't have that flashy name.
But even the Packers don't get free agents though. Yeah, they don't get free agents. They're known to be very stingy in free agency. They don't get free agents.
Well, I think that's more the Packers than people not wanting to go to the Packers.
No, it's just like you said, Wisconsin, Green Bay, Milwaukee. It's not a desirable destination. So small markets will always be at a disadvantage when it
Green
comes
Bay
to
isn't
getting.
a small market though.
Yeah, it is.
Really? You think so?
If you look at the top TV markets in the country right now, Green Bay is like.
I was thinking from a
70th.
money perspective as a top
NFL
tier
is
market.
different because how they run their league,
Mhm.
there's a cap, and
Okay.
there's basically the NFL. So small markets get a chance to win.
Mhm.
There's hard cap.
Oh,
Like the NBA, you can go over the luxury tax to keep players. The NFL, you can't do that. Once you hit a number, you can't go over that. So every team has the same amount of money. No team can go
Okay.
over it.
See, that's
So-
fair. That's fair then, because in the NBA, I know certain markets. I will go by the money wise, like Golden State, Chicago, the Knicks, Brooklyn. We would be declared.
And like even
high markets.
like MLB has no salary cap. So
What?
yeah, you can spend
Yeah,
as
so
much money as you want.
Did not know that.
The-
So that's
the
why
point-
the big markets win.
The point that I was trying to make is they don't have, not only are they not a flashy destination, but they have no history to fall back on to say, like, come and be a part of this great, rich, franchise. There's really nothing to draw free agents there except Giannis. And is that going to be enough to get a second superstar?
They also don't have the money either to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
They've kind of handcuffed themselves now with Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton, who are
Well,
both very good
Eric
pieces.
Bledsoe was
but-
handcuffed. Eric Bledsoe and George Hill were handcuffing them regardless because they was on 2 or 3 year deals anyways. So it's better to get one guy who's better than both of them.
Yeah, they also gave up 5 picks, though.
Yeah, I
Or
don't know.
3 picks.
I
2
think
picks
everybody
left,
was
so-
just getting, excuse
Yeah.
my language, but raped this year in terms of picks. So
We're gonna go on to the last segment of the episode. It's about Paul George. Paul George recently went on All the Smoke podcast and talked about his playoff struggles. I wish I could play the clip, but I don't even have the clip right now. What Paul George basically said was that Doc Rivers was using him wrong. He was using him in a way that he used JJ Redick or Ray Allen, and he didn't use Paul George to play to his strengths. And the question is, do you think that Paul George is making excuses about his lack of performing or not performing in the playoffs? Is Paul George just making excuses?
He basically said he's not a strong jump shooter.
no,
By
because you
making
missed
that
a
comment.
couple of things in that little thing you just said. But no, I think if any, I don't know if everybody watched it, but if you watched it, he definitely said we all played bad. We didn't make adjustments. We just kept saying, "Oh, we're up 3-1. Oh, okay, it's up 3-2. Oh, we're at 3-3." He talked about they didn't practice. They went to games doing the same thing over and over again. When Denver figured it out, they didn't make any adjustments. But I do think he should still take more accountability for the fact that he played like absolute shit. And he should definitely take into account the fact that he was one of the reasons they lost. Because I felt like he kept saying a we thing, but he wasn't saying I played bad. You're the star. You walked into that situation. You and Kawhi. At the time, Paul George, you was coming off an MVP season. Most people considered you a top 10 player at that time. You were coming off a MVP season, 28 points a game. You were a top 3 and MVP and defensive player of the year. So we expected you to play better than that. We get you was injured and all that, but you walked into the bubble healthy. You walked into the playoffs healthy. And you played like shit. So I feel like you should have definitely taken responsibility for more of your actions and accept the fact that you played horrible. You got outplayed by Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., and Nikola Jokic.
Paul George is becoming one of the most hated players in the NBA right now. And it's because he doesn't take accountability. And honestly, he's full of shit sometimes. And this was one of the moments where he was like that. I mean, you talked about the lack of adjustments, and I've been very critical of Doc Rivers. I'm not some Doc Rivers apologist. I don't think he's this great head coach people make him out to be. But let's also be fair to him. Before Paul George and Kawhi got there, he was a coach of the year candidate. Everybody bought into the culture. Kawhi and Paul George come. They get star treatment. Now you see Montrezl Harrell turn down $19 million a year from the Hornets to play for the Lakers for the minimum, or I think the mid-level exception. Obviously, he has some bad blood towards the Clippers, and I don't think it's because of their organization. I think it's because of those two top guys. But Paul George is lying. And when he talked about Doc Rivers was using him as Ray Allen or JJ Redick, I mean, that's a lie. I mean, Kevin O'Connor quoted the tweet. He works for the Ringer. He's a very good analysis of the game and reporter. And Paul George finished 33% of his total plays using pick and roll, which was a career high. The prior high was 25% in OKC, and that's via synergy stats. So obviously he wasn't being used as an off-ball player. He was being used as an isolation pick and roll ball handler, and he didn't make the most of his attempts. And even if he was being used as how he said he's being used, that gives you no excuse to miss a wide open jump shot in the corner and hit it off the side of the backboard. That's your performance. Instead of throwing Doc Rivers under the bus, how about you just say you played bad? After you got into this beef with Damian Lillard and said that they weren't going to win a championship, they were going to go home and they booked their tickets to Cancun, you go out and lose. I mean, Dame called him out and challenged him and said, look, I took you out the playoffs and I took Pat Bev out the playoffs. You keep switching teams, you're running from the grind. And that's what Paul George has done. He left Indiana when the going got tough. He left OKC. Now in the Clippers, he's throwing Doc Rivers under the bus. Paul George isn't a real leader, and right now he looks like a real coward doing what he's doing, throwing Doc Rivers under the bus like that.
And if you're going to do that, you better win. Like, at least if you are team hopping, whatever, and you go and win championships, you can say, like, okay, like I'm making an impact here. But when you come in and first of all, I think we could all get this straight. He's not on Kawhi Leonard's level.
No, he's a tier below Kawhi.
So
two tiers.
When you come in and you attach yourself to Kawhi Leonard's wish list of, you know, being able to live in, you know, wherever, San Diego or wherever, away from the practice facility, and you're late to practice every day, and you pick and choose games and practices that you don't want to suit up, and, you know, this, that, and the third, that's going to make your teammates angry. And it clearly did. And you had this divide in the locker room of Kawhi and Paul George. And I feel like I like Kawhi, but I feel like Kawhi has avoided a lot of the blame that he deserves, because if it was any other superstar in the NBA that did what Kawhi Leonard did this year, he would be getting destroyed. LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Harden. If they went to Los Angeles, gave a wish list like that, and then got knocked out after the 3-1 lead, they would get destroyed. They would get slammed. And I feel like Kawhi kind of avoided that, and Paul George shouldered a lot of the blame. Both of them deserve to be slandered for it. And like you said, he just takes no accountability. And you look back at that Damian Lillard shot when he goes into the press conference and he says, I don't care what anybody says, that was a bad shot. It wasn't a great shot, but when he splashes it in your mouth, you can't go into the press conference and say that was a bad shot. You look ridiculous. You look like a clown. And then to come off the heels of that and then go to Los Angeles, not perform, and pick and choose the days that you want to rest. I don't like Pat Beverly. I have never been a huge fan of Montrezl Harrell.
I don't.
But at the end of the day, those guys, I mean, they're tough, gritty guys. There's a reason they got to the league, and there's a reason they've stuck around. You know, it's not like Pat Beverly is some outstanding offensive player, but he's a hard-nosed guy. That's the reason he's around. And when you have that split in the locker room, that divide in the locker room between two pampered superstars and the rest of your locker room that's going to work hard, you know, that's what's going to happen. And I don't see it changing this year. What did they bring in? They brought in Ty Lue to be their quality control coach and hold them accountable.
I think Ty Lue and Doc Rivers, I think Doc Rivers is a better coach.
He is, but Ty Lue's a player coach. Doc Rivers isn't a player.
Ty Lue is
going to have to do about
Ty
X's and O's and adjustments, though.
No, it's not that. It's more of like
Ty Lue. You're going to sit here and tell me Ty Lue is going to come in and hold Kawhi and Paul George accountable.
What I'm going to tell you is Paul George. What he said in the thing was Doc Rivers wasn't calling people out. Nobody. They felt like the way he said it was like it felt like Hollywood in there. Nobody was calling nobody out. Everybody was just all nonchalant about everything, and Doc Rivers wasn't calling all the players out. So I mean, Ty Lue was going to do that.
That is a problem with Doc Rivers. It's been documented even before this team, the Chris Paul Lob City team. He's been known for that. But I mean, I think even the Clippers teammates, Paul George's teammates, kind of saw through the act that Paul George was trying to portray. I mean, you lose to Denver, then you go in the locker room and give this speech about togetherness. And there was a report that all the Clippers players were basically rolling their eyes at Paul George like, man, what are you talking about? Have your actions lead us. You know, back up your words with actions. And clearly, Clippers players aren't very fond of Paul George in the way he likes to lead the team or try to give these motivational talks. because he's not backing up his performance. I think this is the third straight year where he's underperforming the playoffs. He did it with OKC 2 years in a row when he was in OKC. He underperformed in OKC.
OKC
I would say the first year he underperformed.
And
the
the second
year he was playing with shoulders and he couldn't lift up his arms. And he still put up 28 points a game. So
he underperformed.
Well, he was playing with bad shoulders. So if we're gonna call it underperformance because of bad shoulders,
and Kobe Bryant was playing with a broken finger. And
you're gonna compare a broken finger to bad shoulders? He got surgery on his shoulders right after that.
I'm just saying.
He underperformed the first year OKC and last year. I would give you that definitively.
And my problem with the Clippers is I just don't see much changing this year from last year. Like, you can't sit here and tell me Ty Lue is going to come in and change this culture. Like, what has Ty Lue done that people think he's going to do that? I wanted him for the Nets job simply because he would sit back and let Kyrie and KD run the show, because that's what he did in Cleveland. You know, what was he doing in Cleveland? He was sitting back and letting LeBron run the show. That does not take any talent. Like, he might be an okay coach, but he's not going to come in and be Greg Popovich and make them sing Kumbaya together and make them all best friends. Like,
he's definitely not an X's and O coach.
He's not an X's and O coach, but he's not like a locker room melder either.
Kumbaya.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not going to come in and make Pat Bev and Paul George buddy. You read reports last year, like, they wouldn't speak outside of basketball. The entire locker room was split up like a middle school lunchroom. Like, Paul George would go off with Patrick Patterson. Kawhi would go to his home in, East Beverly Hills.
San Diego.
None of them would talk. That's not how a team works.
Yeah, I mean, bottom line, I think that Paul George just has to take more accountability for how he played. And Matt Barnes replied to a comment and said, you guys want athletes to show you the other side of the story. Then when they do, you talk bad about them. Well, yeah, it's because just because you tell us something about what's really going on doesn't mean we have to side with you and basically kiss your butt about it just because you shared that information with us.
And if Paul George should come out and average 30 in that Denver series and they still lost, it'd be a different story. But he was very bad in that series. He was bad, especially when it mattered most. So I'm sorry, I can't hear your excuses. And I really like Kawhi Leonard. I think he's a top 3 player in the league, but I think that he deserves a lot of the blame for what happened there too, because he created that cancerous culture and then he came out and underperformed. If any of the top caliber NBA stars, like at his level, did what he did, you would never hear the end of it.
A better player, a better response would have just been that, yeah, I played bad. I have to play better next year. Don't talk about all this. Don't put the blame on everybody else. Just say that you got to be better. That's it. Don't throw Doc Rivers under the bus. Just keep going.
It's making a comment about a guy who isn't going to defend himself. He's already out the door. There's no reason for him to comment on it. So it's trying to, pass off your demons on, he's trying to throw his demons in a bag and toss them out the window and move into this year, try and forget about next year. But like, you can't forget about what happened this year, because if you forget about what happened this year, you're going to do the same damn thing again.
They all have to be better. Kawhi, Paul George, Lou Will, they all have to take responsibility for themselves. And it starts with Paul George. I feel like Paul George, you're a star playing like a bum. You can't do that. You're better than that. So he should have definitely went in there and took accountability. Like, don't say we all played bad. No, I played bad. I should have been better. He has to take responsibility for his actions.
So this is going to do it for this episode of the Pick a Side podcast. We appreciate you guys that are watching. You guys are watching now. We're going to take in callers in a few, and we're also going to cut this cake with you guys, celebrate our 1,000 subscribers. So, yeah, I mean, you guys can find us on Instagram, on TikTok, at Pick a Side Podcast, on Twitter, at Pick a Side Pod. We're on Apple Podcast and Spotify. You guys can donate to us either through this YouTube chat and Super Chats or on patreon.com/Pick a Side Podcast. So, thank you guys for watching, and see you next time. All right, we're about to take callers in a few. I'm going to just get, like, the likes ready and stuff. Ugh.
Are you serious?
I'll cut it.
What type of knife should
Do
Butter
you
knife?
have like a?
Right?
You have like one of those like. It's
I don't think he
literally
has
called
I
a
don't-
cake
I
cutter.
don't think he has a cake cutter. He's never cut cake. I doubt it.
Before we cut the cake, though, let's take pictures with it.
It's gonna be so
So,
It's still live.
yeah, so we're entertaining.
Oh, I shouldn't have closed my computer. Chat.
weird. I gotta entertain him, man. They over here talking about Dennis Schroeder. Lakers. This dude said the Lakers would beat the Bucks in 5 if Giannis has a jump shot. Are you dumb? Giannis has a jump shot. Who's beating the Bucks? That's the question. Yeah, double team. I would say this though. Paul George, his first year at OKC, put up these same numbers. Played he had 330 point games, top or whatever. Next year, MVP season. So just watch this year.
You think he's gonna come back and have an MVP season?
You ever notice how every time his first year in the team was he not injured last year?
It's an excuse.
No, I'm talking about just regular season. I'm not talking about.
Oh, last year with the Thunder.
No, last year. Remember in the Clippers when he was hurt? No, I'm not excusing the bubble performance. He played like shit.
Not even the bubble performance. It's regular season. I don't know.
Sure.
It's just soft.
He was hurt. He was playing with an injury. And he's gonna come back and dominate. I hope they play Denver.
Hey, man, pull down your computer, bro.
I want to see the chat. Ooh.
Oh, send a clip for the glam, man. You talking shit?
We're gonna watch out. We're monetized now. You want to like move the cake over to yourself?
Yeah, chocolate on my head. What's wrong with you?
I didn't do that. Oh, wow.
You better clean that up, man. I ain't playing with you, man. Off guard. You can take a pic from like up top, different angle. Just take multiple angles, bro. Don't drop it.
All right, we're gonna cut this.
Yes, sir. So before you cut it, we're gonna. I'm actually gonna do my laptop. Before you cut it, we're gonna talk to everybody, make it look, nice little announcement. All right, so we're gonna put your headphones. You got it.
Wow, we still got 27 people in here. That's crazy.
We had 33, 35. We going crazy.
I still don't think we've gotten to 40 going live yet once. I think we might have hit it once on draft night, but
We
Yeah.
had like a mad people in drafting it.
All right, so you guys ready?
What are we doing?
I'm gonna just make a little announcement.
Who do you think you are?
we did hit 40 on draft night.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Dante.
Dante.
So Jack, just put the Bluetooth
Give me
up.
a soda.
Put the Bluetooth up.
Give me a soda, Jack.
Yep, that. A little more. Yeah, that's good.
I like grape soda.
Okay, so before we cut this cake, we just want to thank all of you guys that supported us on our road to 1,000 subscribers. This cake right here represents that accomplishment. And I just, not to get too sentimental, but
Oh, you're soft.
I'm proud. I'm proud of how far we've come. I'm proud of having Riv here with no last name. He doesn't like to say his government. I'm proud of that. I have Jack. You guys are amazing co-hosts, and I wouldn't be on this journey with anybody else. I wouldn't rather be on this journey with anybody else. I'm proud of how far we've came, 1K, and now it's on to the next milestone. Now, I really appreciate everybody that's been supporting us on this journey.
We all have to say something sentimental.
You don't have to say something.
I mean, I'll just say I know, like, before getting into a podcast like this, you know, you don't really realize how much goes into it. But from doing it for the time that I've been doing it with you guys, you could see how much, you know, especially Joel puts into it with the editing and, you know, getting the equipment and setting it up and us coming up with the topics. Like, it's a lot. So it's really nice to see it pay off and to have you guys here supporting. It means everything. And I want to say thank you to you guys for bringing me in and giving me the opportunity to do this.
I vouch for you.
It's been so much fun. And, you know, I can't wait to see what the next few months holds.
You were my number one pick. Joel, you was my number one pick. I just wanna thank you guys for holding it down when I'm not here and I gotta handle, you know, business outside and, you know, I got double life and stuff. I'm like hitman and all that good stuff. Yeah, 1K. Let's cut the cake, man.
All right, let's go. So Jack knows what he's doing with the cake.
Listen, I never said I know what I'm doing.
He said he could.
You definitely said you know how to do it.
I mean, you just cut it.
You gotta use you gotta, like, you know.
I'm taking off my headphones really quick.
So we're about to take comments.
Hold on, I gotta record you cutting the leg.
I don't even know.
It's definitely not.
You want to try and eat it?
No. Let me kick, man. Side kick, man.
So we're about to take calls in a few.
Cut through the middle, bro.
Anywhere.
Yeah, he's gonna mess up.
This is for 1K subs.
Oh my god. Bro, this is ridiculous. Cut, bro.
Cut my piece.
Yeah, cut your feet. Pause. Pause. That's a little deep. So you don't want nothing bigger.
You talking about pause?
This guy does not know how to cut cake. He lied to the community.
Oh, that's a big slice.
That's a perfect cut.
All right, so now it's my turn. I'm about to see what's up, man. Let's see.
The chat wants some of the cake. Cutting that cake was a milestone,
Yeah.
Darwin. That was difficult.
2K, we're gonna have a buffet.
Oh, damn.
That was a good cake.
All right. Call me 007 from now on.
You know what's funny? I was watching old episodes the other day, and you said call you Chapo.
Oh, yeah. Call me Chapo, but Joel doesn't call me Chapo anymore.
So, okay, now we're about to take in callers.
Oh, we're going to take in calls while I'm cutting my cake? You see the disrespect? Like, I get no respect, so I don't come.
We appreciate you guys. Thank you for supporting.
Oh! Drop the cake, man.
All right, so anybody that wants to call, you guys can call in. We'll talk to you guys for a bit. We're gonna take a.
Oh my god!
It's good.
Oh yeah, tastes like God. Yo,
It's really good cake. Breathe, Red.
I don't want
Breathe.
McDonald's. I don't want McDonald's.
We got a caller right now.
Cody.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hello. Hello.
Hey.
Hey, what's up, man? You're on Pick a Side.
Hello?
What's your name?
To accept, press 1.
Cody.
Voicemail, press 2.
What's up, bro? Do you have the our live stream playing in your background?
Yeah, I do. I'm turning it down though,
Okay.
because that's probably coming up.
All right. So
yeah,
what's
for
up,
sure,
man?
I've been watching you guys for a while. Good job, guys. You guys have been putting out quality stuff. I know you guys are pretty small now, but I could see you guys growing for sure. You've been professional, but I got a question though. I don't know if you guys know much about Blazer history, but who's the greatest Blazer ever?
Ooh.
Bill Walton
Wow.
or Damian Lillard so far?
Look, man, I'm in this era, so I'm biased. I'm going with Damian Lillard. What I know about Bill Walton is that he was really good in college, but his injuries in the league kind of derailed him. You know, I would probably go between Clyde Drexler or Dame more, but I just think Dame, even if he doesn't win a championship, just his loyalty to the city and how much he represents you guys, I think just means a whole lot. It means more than winning a championship for any other city, in my opinion. I think for me, the pick would be Dame.
I think in terms of impact on the game and how impactful Bill Walton was for that time, I think you can make a strong argument for Bill Walton. But in terms of game and longevity, I think you got to go Dame, because I think we can all agree Dame is a Portland Trailblazer for life. He's gonna ride for you guys. Mm-hmm. He's gonna die for you guys, and I think his performance on the court, he leaves it all out there. But impact, I can see why people would say Bill, but I'm gonna go Dame.
Yeah, I would want to give a shout out to Clyde Drexler, just because he was in that Jordan time, and if he wasn't, who knows, maybe he did, maybe he would, make more of a legacy impact, I guess you could say. But out of Walton or Lillard, I would say Lillard, just because, the same reasons Joel and Riv said, like, he's not going anywhere. He's going to be there for life. And even without a ring, what he's done for the Trailblazers as an organization, like, put them back on the map as a real contender.
It's Dirk-like without the ring.
Yeah. So I would go with Dame.
I think he'll have a statue with or without.
Oh,
yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
no
he's
doubt.
going to get the statue. Definitely. He should. He definitely deserves it.
Because of what he represents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He represents that old school mentality that I'm going to ride with my guys. I'm going to be for my city. And he's really loves Portland.
Right.
Portland embraces him. So I'm glad he stays. And I hope he stays there forever.
Yep.
And he's got
Me too, man.
two of arguably the greatest shots in NBA history, let alone Portland Trailblazers history, with that shot over the Rockets and then the one over OKC. So, he has his moments there, even without the ring in Portland, that he's going to have his handful of picks at least for a statue.
Yeah, and it was nice. After Greg Oden went down, Brandon Roy, the big three just failed. It was nice to get Dame, and it took him a little bit before I considered him better than Brandon Roy, but he definitely took that next step that B-Roy was never able to reach.
Shout out to Brandon Roy. He was going to be on pace for being one of the best two guards in the league. He was phenomenal. Injuries messed him up. Just same with D Rose and Grant Hill and all those guys, but Brandon Roy was definitely on pace to be great, man.
Yeah,
great.
I love Brandon Roy.
Yeah, you look back, like, whenever you see those posts, like, one player that you wish never got injured, like, Brandon Roy is always one of the first guys that comes to mind.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, man, we appreciate your call, and thank you for supporting us. I'm guessing that you found our video through the Blazers one, right?
Through YouTube. Yeah, actually. It was you guys were talking about their free agent acquisitions and how good they're going to be. How good do you think they're going to be? And yeah, so that's how I found you guys. Then I was like, this is a professional setup you guys have going on. You guys do things right. So I don't mind watching your content. It's really good. So
thank you very much. And I'm banking on the Blazers this year. I put a lot of stock into them in that segment, so they better back me up this year.
I hope so. I'm right there with you. We'll see.
All right. Thanks for calling.
Take it easy, guys.
Thank you very much, man.
I like questions like that.
So, all right, we're taking in our next caller, and just to let you guys know,
this cake is scrumptious.
if we answer a call, don't keep calling back, because we're gonna try to get to every single call. So right now we have a caller right now.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail.
No, it's not edible. It's paper. Hello?
Hello?
Hey, what's up, man? What's your name?
What's good, bro? My name's Darwin.
What's up, Darwin? How you doing?
I'm good, bro. Y'all doing good shit. Like, I mess with y'all stuff, bro.
We appreciate it. You wanted to ask a question or debate us? What's up?
Nah, bro. I just want to tell Riv, like, the Bulls suck. You know, he whack. What? Y'all be dumping my comments, so the bull sucks.
Nah, trust me.
Not Knicks Nation. That's it. That's all I need to say. Keep up the good work.
We appreciate it, man. Thank you for calling. And Knicks all day.
Back.
All right, bro. See you. Have a good night.
That's ridiculous. That's just ridiculous.
Can you turn up the volume on the
disrespected.
Bluetooth? Like a little, way more.
All the way up.
Might as well.
Close to it. Not all the way. Close to it. Yeah, that's good.
Hey, dictator. They like Castro.
Castro's a socialist.
Black Ops guy.
So we're taking in another caller. Taking in a few. So if you guys want to call in, you guys can call in.
This cake is good, man.
Yo, for real.
That cookies and cream.
Bro, I was going to order McDonald's. I don't even want McDonald's. It takes me a while to, you got to have some good stuff. McDonald's, man. Until you always laughing. You're a whole Knicks fan, bro. Been arguing with him since we was like 8.
Whoever called, just try to call again because I don't think the call went through. I'm a Mavs fan, but even I know we get cooked even with Porzingis and AD's a monster.
I appreciate the self-awareness.
It's crazy. Me and Odonte really been arguing since like second grade on the Knicks and the Bulls, bro. And since second grade, like I remember when that year Melo hit that shot over Luol Deng, the big three, bro. I almost cried.
That was one of the greatest games ever.
Yeah, that game was so lit. Like
That
Knicks
shot-
and Bulls games used to be so lit, bro. Like
That shot
crazy.
was one of the most iconic shots
Then he
that
hit it
I can
again. I
remember.
was like, yo, he did it again. I was like, nah, he got it.
We got a call right now.
Call from
Ben.
to accept, press 1.
Hello?
Hey, what's up, man?
I'm good. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. What's your name?
Ben.
Bennett?
Ben.
Oh, Ben. Oh, what's up, Ben? How you doing?
I'm good. I've been texting you, not right?
You been what?
I've been texting you.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Let me see. I ain't getting nothing.
Yeah.
So you want to ask a question?
Well, I know Rev. He hates my Raptors.
So
Everybody's got beef with Rick.
So what do you have to say
I
to
don't
Riv?
hate the Raptors.
Well, I gotta say that my Raptors are gonna be third in the East, where we can beat the Bucks, we
Oh.
can beat Boston.
Ha.
All right. So, yeah.
So you're very confident in your Raptors. What do you got to say, Riv?
I just want to say you're gonna fail again. You're gonna be a regular season team that wins a lot of games. You guys are great. You've been a great regular season team since DeMar DeRozan. You guys are great in the regular season, and then you're gonna fold in the second round, either Boston or the Bucks or even Miami, and it's gonna happen like that until you get a real, true superstar, even a true all-star. Because Pascal, like people like to talk about Paul George. Pascal looked horrible too. He looks like he has no skills whatsoever.
But that was one series. PG has been doing this for years.
PG is better than
And-
what Pascal
and-
will ever be.
Oh, Pascal's young. Give
He's
Pascal
like
some time.
27. Paul George is 30.
Nah, he's not
Exactly.
27. He's 25.
No, he's older.
He's 25
than
or
that.
26.
Probably 26.
He's 1 year older than Giannis.
Right.
Well, I would say I don't think it's a crazy outlandish prediction just because, like, I think that the Raptors personnel is good to match up with the Celtics or the Bucks. Like, they can clog up the paint against Giannis,
Yeah.
and they also have more height than the Celtics. So it's not the most crazy thing. I don't think the Raptors are a championship team, but I definitely think they're going to make some people's lives more difficult in the playoffs.
Oh, we can beat Boston though.
Oh,
I don't
God.
disagree.
We can beat.
Boston for me this year is
Hold on, Jack. What have you done this off season to tell me that you can beat Boston?
Oh, we got Aaron Baines now, big boy in the paint.
Oh, okay.
the GOAT.
Okay. Yeah, and Boston they lost Hayward, and he was a big part of their offense and their defense.
I want to say this, bro. Until Pascal makes that leap, I don't think you guys will ever reach, or until you get a guy like, not Kawhi-like, but a guy like a superstar, you guys will never reach a championship window in my eyes. I feel like you guys are a great team that can probably compete with any team in the East, but you'll always lose in prime time situations because you don't have that guy. Like you lost to Boston just because you didn't have that guy down the stretch. Every game was great. Don't get me wrong, but down the stretch, you didn't have a Jason Tatum. You didn't even have a Kemba. You didn't have a Jaylen Brown. You just don't have those guys. So you got to get that guy. Pascal has to become that guy.
The only reason Pascal was bad because of the shutdown. Before COVID, bro, this guy was hooping. All right, only because of the shutdown, he was bad. Oh. If the league did not shut down, we would have been in the finals. Guaranteed.
In the finals. Okay.
We would have beat Miami. We would have beat Boston.
Okay. I would say this. Yeah. Miami was a very bad road team. So playoff times, it would have been tricky for them. But no, you were not beat. No.
Bro, we can lock up Miami easy.
The best player has no go-to move.
Excuse me? Spin move. The top boat.
I'll say this. If Pascal can take that next step, it makes the Raptors a totally different team. For now, I think they're definitely a playoff lock. I could see them even getting the 3 seed in the regular season this year. But for them to really compete for the Eastern Conference title, like they need Pascal to take a leap this year that he didn't take last year.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but still, okay, Riv, where do you have the Raptors in the East?
In the regular season, I got you guys finishing as a top 3 seed. You're definitely going to be winning a lot of games. And in the playoffs, you're going to lose to the Bucks or the Celtics or Miami.
Nope. Not because
I was told nope last year. What happened? You
kept
telling me Boston was not gonna. You're gonna beat Boston. You're gonna beat Boston. You lost.
Okay. But we could have won Game 7.
Yeah, you could have won a lot of games, but you lost.
Nah, bro.
What you mean? Nah, it happened.
All right, so we appreciate your call, man. Definitely looking forward to see what the Raptors do this season and hearing another call from you soon, depending on what they do.
Yeah. And answer my text.
All right, man. Have a good night.
All right, see you, man.
Listen,
Toronto fans hate me.
However the Raptors finish this year, though, I want you to call back because I want you to I want Riv to let you hear it, or I want you to let Riv hear it.
So we're gonna take in like 2 more callers because Riv has to go to work soon.
Don't be telling my business out there. What's wrong with you?
But yeah, we're gonna take in like 2 more callers and end the live stream.
Told you I lead a double life.
What are you, like a cowboy or something?
I lead a double life. I don't know why he's doing that. I'm gonna be right about the Raptors.
I was so happy I got to see Riv walk in tonight. I saw him walking in.
Oh yeah, I seen you parking. I was like, this guy Jack. Oh man. Now Raptors fans hate me like how Bills fans hate him. They hate me. I just be speaking the truth.
I don't think any fan base hates me yet. But I've only been around for half the time.
What player you're not in love with? Josh Allen fans don't like you.
Josh Allen fans don't like me, but I feel like I was very realistic about Josh Allen. I gave him props when it was deserved.
No, Bills fans violate him.
Well, Bills fans hate him. Yeah. If I was around for as long as Joel was, they probably hate me too.
Probably. Yeah. Eagles fans probably don't like you. They'll get to not like you too. You be hating.
I'm not hating. It's just facts.
Sidekick, man.
So we're about to take calls in
Recording me, bro?
No.
Pick a sidekick, man.
So we're about to take calls in a few. Or should I cut?
Cut through the middle, bro.
Anyway, this dude,
yeah,
Riv,
he's gonna mess
this
up.
dude Riv doesn't even tag us in the
You tagged Pick a Side.
Yeah, I just tagged Pick a Side.
But I get the notifications from Pick a Side. I thought you tagged me.
Yeah, nah. I don't know what he just
Hello?
Syracuse. Let's get
Hello? Hey, what's up, man? I know this is Sule.
Yep. You already know.
Is this the guy that Ether?
Oh
Jack?
Yeah,
God.
he ended Jack in a debate.
Hey, Hey, but I gotta trick you on one point, but I gotta agree with you on another point.
All right, what is that?
But the PJ Tucker praise was kind of overboard.
Kind of overboard is the understatement of the century.
You don't think that PJ Tucker could make a legitimate difference with the Boston Celtics?
Bro, I don't think he really makes a legitimate difference anywhere unless it's a really good team, meaning he's not a difference maker.
Look at what he did for Look what he did for the Rockets. He's a heart and soul of the Rockets. I was watching a Rockets game one time, and you know what Mark Jackson said while commentating? He said, PJ Tucker, if you don't love his game, you don't love basketball. That's what PJ Tucker is to me.
Oh yeah, Mark Jackson.
That's a great comment from a great commentator, but stop that. That's just not the truth, man. Because even without PJ Tucker, James Harden was getting the Rockets to the second seed by himself, just off the strength of the beard. You know what I mean?
But PJ Tucker I think he's a difference maker. People sleep on how good he is as just a defender and a leader in the locker room.
Made him sound like a franchise player, low key.
He's not even. Wait a minute. He's not even close.
Hold on, I'm gonna get my charge.
I know, but like that's the way Joel was making him sound.
Yeah.
But the second point was
Joel is crazy.
But the second point was that was crazy. But the second point was that Steph Curry MVP in I think it was 2015.
Mm-hmm.
That was a robbery. That was a flat out robbery. That was a basketball travesty.
He said that Steph Curry not getting the 2015 MVP was robbery. So now you guys can agree.
No, yeah, I agree with you there. I don't know why Riv likes to defend Curry so much. It's probably because Curry's his favorite player. But in 2015, James Harden deserved the MVP in 2015.
James Harden had no All-Star teammate, and he got him to the second seed in the West with no All-Star teammate.
I mean, we can go on and on and on about the numbers, even though Steph beat him in every advanced statistical category, and Steph was the number one seed in the league. We could do that. Yeah.
Steph had Defensive Player of the Year. Bro, Draymond was Defensive Player of the Year that year.
He wasn't.
I think Clay was like...
It was next year.
Wow, so it was the year before he was Defensive Player of the Year. Bro, he had All-Star. He had the best bench in the league, bro. He had everything.
Yeah, but they didn't.
James Harden only had nothing.
First of all,
and I remember he beat up the San Antonio Spurs that year, and the Spurs, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and they were trying to make the finals.
Didn't they play? Didn't the Warriors and the Rockets play?
He's not.
Yeah, like.
No. Didn't they play in the WCF that year, and Steph Curry completely dominated them and beat them in 5?
Yeah, because he had the way better team. I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying the regular season MVP should have went to Harden.
I mean, we can.
And you know who agreed with me?
Who?
The NBA players. Because the NBA players voted James Harden as the NBA player MVP that year.
That's true.
Because everybody knew it was his MVP.
That's because NBA players
voted James Harden.
NBA players hate on Steph, man. They're haters of Steph.
Nobody was hating on Steph that year. This was This was way before Steph had anything. This was Steph's first breakout year, pretty much. This was the year after his first breakout year.
Didn't the NBA players vote James Harden was supposed to be MVP, but Giannis ended up winning the award too?
Giannis's first MVP should have went to James Harden.
Yeah, see, it's a lot of it should have James Harden. James Harden should have had this one, should have had that one, should have had this, that.
I'm just saying the one where he got the Rockets to the second seed, that was crazy. Because without him, they're a lottery team.
I agree. No, Harden did have a very impressive year that year. It was phenomenal. He led that team. He was the best player in that team. He had the Rockets on full go that year. They was second seed in the league. And they was a really great team. And Dwight Howard, he was dealing with a lot of injuries, so they didn't have a good team. And he definitely propelled them. But I just think
Dwight Howard, I think he played. I think Dwight Howard played 24 games that year. Like all in the bro. He was out like damn near the whole year.
Yeah, but I think when you look at the Warriors and the fact that they weren't projected to be that great, and Steph Curry and that team just came out on fire, and the main catalyst of that team was Steph Curry. You know, they had a new coach that year too. I think you can't just automatically say, oh, well, James Harden. I think Steph Curry deserved the MVP too. I think you could go back and forth on who could have won, but I think Steph Curry definitely has a case for that MVP as to why he won the award inevitably.
I don't know because if you take Steph Curry off that Warriors team, they're like maybe seed. Like a fifth seed.
They're not a fifth seed. Come on.
I know.
Fifth
they
seed?
Would be fifth or sixth, bro. They were not a bad team. Are you kidding me?
Clay wasn't. He was good, but he wasn't that good at that time. Draymond was a defensive presence, but everything ran through Steph.
In the Western Conference, too.
Bro, look at the numbers, bro. That team was stacked. Look at the numbers and compare it to James Harden.
He wasn't stacked. They just knew
he had nobody.
I wouldn't say eighth seed. I wouldn't say fifth seed. I say they'd be a fringe eighth, seventh. You take Steph.
And you know what the Rockets would be without Harden that year, bro?
They'd be a lottery team.
The Rockets would be talking about Alonzo Ball right now or something. And they'd be talking about like, they'd be a lottery team.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So we
appreciate
bro.
You for congratulations on 1K. No problem.
We appreciate you, bro.
Congrats. Keep growing.
And for next time, call the number that's on the screen. This is a different number from a different app.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, because I know you had this one saved, but like the number on the screen is the one because this app is weird in terms of like the ads and stuff it gives me.
All right, I got you. No problem.
All right, bro. We appreciate you for calling. Bro. Have a good night.
Well, Dante keeps saying Curry never deserved the MVP, and I just can't. Like, don't let him call. Don't answer the phone either.
I don't even know his number, so if he calls, I'm just gonna answer.
He keeps saying Curry never deserved an MVP. I don't know why he keeps saying that. This guy's a hater. Your favorite player is Patrick Ewing. I know that's Dante.
Leo.
Oh, thank God.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
All right, cool.
Hey, what's up, Leo?
Well, fine, you eating a cake for 1,000 subscribers. I was like, dang, y'all find a late celebration. But anyway, I know I keep telling y'all congrats about the 1,000 subscribers. I would say this in a different way. Just keep going, keep growing. That's all I got. But keep going. That's all I got to say. But other than that, my question was like, I know a lot of people, I don't know why you brought up PJ Tucker. I live in Houston. I was like, that's not going to help the Boston Celtics. I thought the Boston Celtics need something like I said, I mentioned a big. I thought like the center for the Atlanta Magic or Andre Drummond. Maybe a chance to get Clint Capella, but so the easiest way to stop against, let's say, Bam Adebayo or Joel Embiid. What's your opinion about that?
Well, first of all, thank you for telling us to keep going. We appreciate that. We appreciate your support. And second of all, I think PJ Tucker does help the Boston Celtics.
Oh my God.
He may not help them as much as I said he would help them, but I think he does help them. But to your other point, I didn't even think about Clint Capella. I think Clint Capella is much more realistic than John Collins because they drafted Onyeka, and Clint Capella fits what the Celtics want to do in terms of guarding a big. He's good defensively. So I think that's a much more realistic dude that they can bring along.
Yeah, I completely forgot about Clint. I think that would be the best case scenario at that point. If you get a guy who can rim protect, who can play defense, who can catch lobs, who can go out to pick and roll. Yeah, I think Clint Capella would be a good pickup.
Yeah, I pretty much made that argument with John Collins. It's just a different guy from the Hawks. It makes a lot of sense because they have a log jam down there, so they can't keep all of them.
Yeah. That's what I thought about. I was like, why nobody bring Capella? I mean, nothing against John Collins, even though I always thought John Collins better than PJ Tucker. Offensively, defensively, of course, PJ Tucker, but it's not PJ Tucker give you.
Now, yeah, for sure. I just don't know why you're so down on PJ Tucker, man. PJ Tucker is the BR Kicks champion.
Why do you keep saying that?
Not hating PJ. How he plays.
Oh, offense. Only thing we know about PJ is corner threes and a slasher. And defensively, I not deny that, but it's not like it go improve anything much for the Boston Celtics. Maybe for come off the bench, but if you play small ball, it's not really much helping against, let's say, Miami Heat.
Yeah, you got a point there.
And another question was, are you sure about if the Clippers getting any better even after the blown 3-1 lead?
Do
because
I
know
think
they
got
improved.
any better?
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I think Ibaka is better than Montrezl Harrell because he can stretch out and he can hit threes. He's better defensively. So I think they got better in that aspect by getting Serge Ibaka. But I'm just not sure if the Clippers can win a championship because I see the Lakers as being better than them. I think Brooklyn has a better case. And I don't trust them in the playoffs. And I don't think Tyronn Lue's that great of a coach. It really just depends on how Paul George performs in the playoffs. And I know River Brown here is a Paul George apologist, but Paul George is just disappointed for the last couple of playoffs.
Stop saying my government. I think they definitely. I do think Ibaka, even though I laughed at Jack making that face, I do think Ibaka is better than Montrezl Harrell, just for the simple fact that he can also play defense and he can rim protect and he can shoot better than Montrezl Harrell. I think they still have Lou Will. They brought in Luke Kennard, who's a great three-point shooter. So they got Marcus Morris back. Kawhi and PG, you get them fully healthy back now. So I think they're still a top 2-3 team in the West. I think they're a top 5 team in the league as a whole. And I think they have a chance. If they beat the Lakers in the West, and I don't see them losing in the finals because I think the Lakers are the best team in the league. So if they beat the Lakers in the West, I don't see anybody really beating them in the East outside of Brooklyn. But I would say they're definitely a top 5 team in the league right now. They still have a room to grow and get better. And Paul George, like Joel said, last time we seen Kyrie play, he played like garbage in the playoffs, but I'm not going to get on that. But Paul George has to be better. He has to play better, and he probably will be better because he's just that great.
I understand your point, but even a lot of people keep saying the Lakers are like chance for the repeat. I'm not seeing that because I think people got the Brooklyn Nets, how good that team is if they stay healthy, especially for Kevin Durant, even though we don't know the scheme for the Brooklyn Nets. But also, a lot of people didn't mention the Trailblazers. I know a lot of people mention them a lot in the offseason, but you never know how they're going to play out, even in the postseason. Because a lot of people keep saying how good they are, but I think they're only good for a first round bye. I mean, only for a first round exit.
You talk about Paul George be coming up short. Damian Lillard has come up a few times short in the playoffs too. Aside from the big shots in the first round, second round he starts to get a little sketchy, and then when he does, the one time he did make the third round, he looked a little bad. But Portland has a very deep roster. You know, they can run 9-10 deep. So they're going to be they're definitely going to be a dangerous team in the West. Brooklyn, aside from health issues and defense, they're going to be a top team in the East, no doubt, just off talent alone because they have Kevin Durant, Kyrie, Karis LeVert, Dinwiddie. If they get James Harden, it's a wrap. I think they're the number 1 team in the league after that. So yeah, there's about 5 teams that can win the championship. 5 legit teams, but it's just gonna have to see circumstances, health, who plays who. We're gonna see come down the season.
Okay, that's a good way to say. And I got one more question: which 2 teams think most likely get the title, the Rockets or the Wizards, after the Westbrook and Wall trade?
The Rockets.
That's not even close.
I can't even say the Rockets.
What?
They're in the West. The West is better than
you
the
think
East.
the Wizards have a better chance of winning a championship than the Rockets?
Yeah, no, that sounds so dumb. No, the Rockets. Yeah.
It is 1,000% the Rockets. Both of them would take I don't know, the Lakers team bus stalling on the freeway on the way to the arena in order for them to have any chance. But I would say the Rockets have a better chance out of the 2 of them. I don't think either of them have a chance, but the Rockets have a better 0% chance than the Wizards.
Okay. Thank you anyway.
All
right,
man, we
bye.
appreciate your call, man. Have a good night.
You too.
Maybe I was a little too harsh on the Rockets there. I still don't think they have a chance to win a championship.
That was our last caller, but before we end the live stream, I want to answer this comment. Sule was like, wait, I just seen the PJ Tucker post on Instagram. Are you guys funny about PJ Tucker? Nah, man, I just think he gets disrespected, man. Dante wants a call, man, but yo, you gotta leave, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Joel is more than a PJ Tucker fan. He's a PJ Tucker stan.
He's a lover.
Yo, Dante, call Monday. We're gonna be live again. River's gonna be here. We're gonna do another episode next week. We do 2 episodes a week. So yeah, we about to end this live stream because we got things to do. You know what I'm saying? So all right, we'll see all you guys later next episode.
Thank you guys for watching.
You could have told Jack to do it.
To turn it off?